Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's Murph, it's Caleb Brashear, and we are here for 163 laps of AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series action from EchoPark Speedway. Caleb, this race is going to be kind of like the last one. It's a pack race, but it also introduces the specter of tire wear, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit slower on speed than what we've seen at Daytona last time around. We'll see the cars get around only like 180 miles an hour very consistently, unlike the 190s we saw last time at Daytona. Track is about a mile and a half long, so there will be a factor of tire wear, obviously, with the corners being just a little bit tighter than what we saw last time out here, Murph.
You know, it most certainly will. That 1.5 miles goes by in the blink of an eye. There are some unique things about the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The first is that the pit entrance is down the backstretch. It's actually the commit cone is before you get to turn 3, and so you're going to see drivers in the middle of the backstretch. So you're going to see drivers going to pit lane way early. They're going to have to go all the way around the apron in order to get to the pit lane. That is a safety measure here because of the nature of the racing. The other bit is that this racetrack is not nearly as wide as Daytona and Talladega. In truth, Caleb, you can only fit 2 cars. You can really only go 2 wide around here. We've seen them do 3, but it is super tight, isn't it?
Yeah, significantly tighter. The track originally wasn't meant for this style of plate racing originally, but they kind of turned it into the plate racing we all know and love at like Daytona or Talladega with the most recent configuration. But with that being tighter, doesn't mean we won't see those 3 wide moments, but it's certainly, I think drivers, especially considering since we're past the Daytona route, drivers will be more careful this time around.
I'm sure they will. This track, you mentioned the history of it, and it's not really built. It wasn't really originally configured this way. That's because it wasn't. The original Atlanta Motor Speedway, which I attended a race at in 1991, was originally a 1.5 mile course. The turns are in the same spots, and this track uses the original corners, but it was several lanes wider, Caleb. It was not as tight, and it was almost a true oval. Think like Homestead, but with longer radius corners and shorter straightaways. That was changed in 1997 when the track was flipped. The front stretch became the back, and the double dog leg was added, and it became a quad oval to mimic Charlotte. That was under the leadership of Bruton Smith after he had acquired the Speedway. And then in 2022, the old pavement was finally torn up from that 1997 repave, and with the help of iRacing, they turned it into the current facility. The track also has a very interesting history, Caleb, in that it was this track was part of one of the first attempts to have a Speedway megacorporation. This track was originally part of American Raceways Inc., which was a large speedway conglomerate. That's the company that built Michigan, Texas World. They owned Atlanta. They had a piece of Riverside. They eventually went bankrupt after a failed race at Texas World Speedway, and that's when it came under the control of Walter Nix and LG DeWitt. LG DeWitt, of course, owned Rockingham. And then Bruton Smith purchased the Speedway in 1990, and it's been under SMI control ever since. The track record here, by the way, Caleb, is for Xfinity, the Xfinity cars, the Grand National cars, 30.402 seconds. Christian Eckes, 2025 for the Bennett Transportation and Logistics 250. I don't know that we're going to see speeds quite that high tonight in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. The fastest qualifying lap here in this series history, 32.047, so about a second and a half slower, Jacob. Or Caleb, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I have apparently turned into Jacob Collins with that last statement. But no, the speeds will be slower. In the little bit of testing I did before the race, clean air is about 170 miles an hour. Quite a big difference than what we saw in the previous configurations before this track officially turned into plate racing that we've seen for the past couple of years. We should possibly see them get up to 180 miles an hour, but it will be interesting. They'll be too wide the entire time around, but it will be a typical plate race that we have seen here in the past here, Murph.
You know, I would suspect so. Speaking of fast laps, fastest in practice right now, I'll give you 3 guesses. Go for it, Caleb.
Is it Ryan O'Donoghue?
It is not Ryan O'Donoghue at the moment. He is not the fastest car on the track. Not Ryan O'Donoghue.
Is it Sam Crow? I'm gonna say it's old Sam Crow there.
It is Sam Crow, a big draft, 177.398 miles an hour. Sees him atop the speed chart. Julian Valdez, second. Ryan O'Donoghue is third. Practice speeds don't mean all that much here at Atlanta, of course. But that is the practice. Those are the practice times. Past winners, Brian Sharp, Edwin James would be the past winners. There have been 4 AMA winners here. The fastest race lap is owned by Adam O'Brien at 30.759 miles an hour, or 30.759 seconds. So not too awfully far away from the track record. Sam Crow was just 40 hundredths shy of Christian Eckes. So the draft is going to play a huge part. We're going to see much slower speeds in qualifying. This is one for you, Caleb. Who holds the outright track record here?
Is it also Sam Crow?
It is not. The outright track record set by Billy Boat in an IR7. The 1998 Atlanta 500 Classic, 24.732 seconds, or about 5.5 seconds quicker than what these cars are going to lap here tonight. That's all in the mail.
Now you tricked me. I thought you were talking about the. I briefly thought you were talking about the current AMA regulars who set the track records here. But I did know that the old was now, I believe, is the Indy Next series. If I'm correct, did run here in the past, and the possibly a mistake on their part, to be completely honest, from what I've heard, but. I think we'll see a lot better type of racing around here. We'll see a lot closer racing. It should be a good one.
It should. Also want to point out this track does have a road course. Incidentally, the last road course race here was won by Juan Manuel Fangio and a Dan Gurney Eagle in an IMSA GTP race. 1993 was the last time the road course here saw action in anger. Do want to thank everybody for joining it in. You are watching the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series live here on P1. If you haven't done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you too can get in on all of the iRacing fun. Just to give the weather a quick check, it is 72 degrees in the air. 83 on the track, winds northwest at 7. The skies are clear. It is a beautiful day in the sim for a motor race. Who do you want to watch in qualifying, Caleb?
I think we still got to go with Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman, for this one.
Well, let's see if he elects to qualify. Sometimes he does, sometimes he does not. So we'll see if Justin decides to take to the track. We'll see if he decides to take to the track. Before we do that, let's have a look at Crash Neon.
I will say I do like Crash's livery this time out. It does look very, very nice.
So Justin Osterman is parked on pit road, so we'll keep an eye on him when he starts to roll. we'll put your favorite driver up on the board, Caleb. This track is very simple for qualifying. Take it out, wind it up. It's just like Daytona. Wind it up around the top for one lap, stand on the gas, pin it on the bottom. Out rolls Justin Osterman, and so we're gonna stick with him. We're gonna get on the roll hoop. We'll get on top and watch Justin Osterman as he navigates his qualifying lap here at Atlanta. You're going to see a lot of Days of Thunder references in this race. Caleb, I know of at least one car that is painted as a movie car. Of course, recognizing the late, great Robert Duvall, who passed away earlier this week. A favorite of many in the series. I know David Dunwoody and I quote that movie back and forth each other pretty often. So you're going to see a lot of Days of Thunder liveries here. Justin Osterman, lap 1, and he is all the way up against the wall, Caleb.
Yeah, you'll see him ride the entire wall, try to get as much speed as he can here, riding the wall for the entire first lap. We talked about this at Daytona. Your first lap is kind of your sacrifice lap, and that's where you build your most speed. You know, you can't really get up to speed entirely on that first lap, so you pretty much just use it as a sacrifice lap and really try and nail your second time around here.
There you are inside the helmet for Justin Osterman as he wheels that Chevrolet. First lap, 32.819. This time, it's going to be quicker. He's got the momentum built up. He is all the way around the bottom, 173 miles an hour down the backstretch. He's going to scrub 5 or 6 miles an hour off in the corner. He is not leaving the red line. You do get to use the apron here should you choose, and Osterman flashes across the line. His lap, Mr. Excitement, 9th quick, 32.183 for Justin Osterman. Let's put Christian Light up in the 96. There's Christian, Danger Close Motorsports driver. As he works his machine up to speed. Boulder Crest Foundations on the side. Boulder Crest Foundation, on the side of that Chevrolet. And he is already all the way down on the bottom, Caleb.
Yeah, he's riding that bottom line. Yeah, of course, on your flying lap, you really just don't want to leave. I guess in this case, it is a white and red line around here. You really don't want to leave that. You want to stay glued to that as closely as you can. And then if the series allows it, when you get to the front straightaway, kind of dip to the apron as much as you can as well. You
do. Now, different series police it differently. Here in the AMA, you got to keep 2 tires above. You got to keep 2 tires above that red and white line. Christian Light goes to 23rd fastest, and that's going to leave Keith Graham as the only car on the track with 45 seconds left in qualifying. Graham, he's going to start his second lap. First lap, 33.177, good enough for 33rd fastest. We'll see what he does on his second flyer.
Yeah, it appears he's going to go up towards the top on the back straightaway. Don't know if that's the most preferred line around here. He kind of rides that second lane for his second lap.
He does indeed. Here comes Keith Graham across the line. He had a little bit more straightaway speed than his cohorts, but he took the long way around. He was up in lane 2. Keith Graham, 32.763, and he is going to be our final qualifier as we get down to the starting grid. On the pole with the Simshop Pole Award, it is Peyton Howell with a lap of 169.959 miles an hour. Defending series champion and Daytona winner Greg Evans is going to go from P2. In third, David Dunwoody. Vance Fisher is going to start fourth. Balin Edwards is fifth. Kevin Grettenberger is going to roll from sixth. Sam Crow seventh. Zechariah Cartledge is eighth. Lewis Hay is ninth. And Riley Lean is going to go from 10th. In 11th, it's Raymond White. He's going to be flanked by Mr. Excitement Justin Osterman. 13th, Ryan O'Donohue. 14th, Chad Meadows. 15th, Troy Carricker. 16th, the 87 of Alan Steigerwalt. Julian Valadez is going to go from 17th. Joshua Siegfried, 18th. Crash Neon is 19th. Andrew Gates rounds out your top 20. 21st, Corey Palermo. Andrew Jones is 22nd. Didn't know the Atlanta Braves center fielder was racing tonight. Either way, Christian Light is going to start 23rd. There he is, next to the 42 of Colby Pierce. In 24th, Brian Sharp and Sergio Abella are going to start 25th and 26th. Michael Kirk, Eric Quarter, 27th and 28th. Sebastian Rodriguez, 29th. And Randy Dunlap in the Outland Custom Arms Special is going to go from 30th. Carson Hodge, 31st. Keith Graham, 32nd. And Ted Craven, the teddy bear, is 33rd. Those are the cars that took time. Kendale Paul, James Hodgson, Dylan Blankenship, Mike Rigney, John Hutchins, Jason Southern, and Sean Mott bringing up the rear. They did not take time. And Barry Seaman is in the session, but not in his car. Should he elect to start, he's going to do it from the pit lane, Caleb.
Yeah, it'll be a bold move. It's not uncertain that we'll get possibly a early caution in this race, but with it being a plate style race and with a track that is tighter than what we raced at in the first week at Daytona, so maybe just playing it safe here early, Murph.
That could be, and we'll see. Barry Seaman is still not in the session. It could be. For Barry Seaman, it could be one of those situations where he's just here to he's here to get the points maybe. Either way, Barry Seaman is not
green flag
in the field. The green flag is out, and we are underway here at Atlanta. 163 laps of AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National action is on. Peyton Howell gets the jump and leads away Greg Evans, David Dunwoody, and Bladen Edwards.
Yeah, the pack is still very tightly knit together. At Daytona, we saw them kind of stay together for a large portion of the first stage here. It seems like the outside line is kind of more spread out than the bottom here, kind of less organized here, Murph.
Yes, it is. The inside line has the early advantage, with Peyton Howell leading the charge. He's got David Dunwoody behind him. Greg Evans is trying to get something going on that top side as we get the leaderboard going. Greg Evans, though, has fallen back to third or fourth. He's got the 27 of Bladen Edwards next to him. He's got Kevin Grettenberger pushing him, but that outside line is just not going anywhere. And Peyton Howell has staked himself to a couple of car length lead here.
Yeah, he's popped out a little bit over that bottom or that top line, excuse me. But it seems like it's still fairly even. He drifts up in the middle there, got a little bit high there, but gets back to the bottom very quickly there. The number 2 on the outside still hasn't left as we see a car go to the apron there. No harm, no foul. They rejoin safely.
That is Jason Southard, and he has a meatball flag already. And let's see what happened to Jason Southard. This is on the initial start, Caleb.
Yeah. Oh, we got a car spinning to the inside wall. Oh, we got 2 cars spinning to the inside wall. That's the 57. And we're going to have a caution here, Murph, very early in this race.
Yeah, we were showing the accident for Jason Southard. There he is. He spins the inside of the track. He's going to overcorrect this, come up back onto the banking, come back down and spin at the inside wall. Meanwhile, all sorts of trouble has occurred during that replay, and let's find it. It's the 57 of Kevin Grettenberger, and he is right at the front of this field. And let's see what's happened to Kevin Grettenberger here. He's pushing Greg Evans. He's got the 19 behind him. And this is, well, you see the smoke. That is from Southard. We've got a car making it 3 wide in the middle. That is the 26. And Grettenberger spins it to the inside. David Dunwoody, there were 2 separate incidents there. David Dunwoody spun separate from that. And then Grettenberger is absolutely clouded by the 05 of Raymond White. White has already ejected from his car. And now we've got to go back and see what happened to David Dunwoody. He is in the pink Superflow looking machine. He said he was going to get out here and get the hammer down tonight, Caleb. But his night might be early. He just self spins it, coming off of turn number 2, noses into the inside wall, and that is a hard lick for David Dunwoody. And there you see Grettenberger spinning. Let's take a look at this from the perspective of Raymond White.
Briefly to chime in, it does appear David Dunwoody is back out on track. They still got a little bit of left front bodywork damage, but they didn't have a meatball at all, so they should be able to get going again here.
They most certainly should. Here we are. We're looking at Raymond White and his perspective on exactly what occurred to bring out that first caution. There you see Dunwoody spin off. And again, it's an illustration of just how little you can see. And we're on the roof. We're not in the cockpit. He sees the 57. He's on the binders. And there's just no way to avoid what's coming there, Caleb.
Absolutely not. And you just have, we talked about this at Daytona, especially with the higher speeds there. Even here with the track being so much higher, you just have little time to react to anything. And unfortunately, that's just sometimes how it goes here.
It most certainly is. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, and subscribe to P1 so that you too can get a notice every time we go live. And we do this a lot. We are under our first admin box caution of the afternoon, or of the evening rather. Cautions are brought to you by Admin Box, race control at the touch of a button. If you're a race controller or league admin, visit Fish. That's adminbox with 2 X's.com. He'll get you fixed up with a custom button box. That means you don't have to type those commands anymore, Caleb.
Yeah, it very, very quick. You sometimes, you're doing a hosted session and you have those commands and you just kind of type it out if you don't have a button box, and it makes it very, very nice. Sometimes, if you just want to throw a bit of chaos in the wind in those hosting sessions. But we're going to go back green here. Pace cars exiting 2. We're going to go green here this time around, and the 52 of Peyton Howe is going to lead them off.
Most certainly is. And this is going to be fun. I really want to see what the tire wear is going to be like. Of course, we are going to have a stage break at lap 45 and another one at 90. These drivers do have 3 sets of stickers in the pit lane with which to work, and so you're kind of limited in what you can do. Change them at stage 1, change them at stage 2. You're going to have a green flag pit stop in stage 3, so you don't want to burn a set of tires up. But we've already got some cars that may have done just that, Caleb, as we get ready to go back to green. Barney's got the green flag in the air.
Green flag, green flag.
And we are back underway here at Atlanta.
Yeah, Peyton Howe gets a really good start. That bottom line is already prevailed about 6 to 7 car lengths. It seems like everybody on the outside in that front part decided to get to the bottom as early as we can. Peyton Howe's going to lead them as they go onto the back straightaway.
Peyton Howell has staked himself to the lead, and look, here's the situation at the front. Everybody has gotten single file. They are in line back through 11th place. That's Troy Carricker up top. He is trying to get around Ryan O'Donohue, Sam Crow, but that's the first car to jump to the outside. Now we're seeing some cars take some chances. Riley Lean jumps to the high side. He's going to go around the deuce of Greg Evans. He's got help from the 16 of Zachariah Cartilage as they head off into turn number 3 and turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, we talked about Daytona, especially there. It's a very, very long race, and you kind of want to play it safe. Obviously, you still can fight for stage points and whatnot. However, you don't want to take yourself to a point where you might be out of the race very early on. And especially considering, Daytona is a very important race. I would say that's the one where everybody wins. I guarantee you this is where everybody starts thinking championship at this point in the season. Now we could get the season rolling. The big race of Daytona is kind of behind us now. And now let's go fight for a championship.
It is, and there are guys up front that are going to want that championship. Greg Evans, your defending series champion, currently lies in the 5th spot. You've got Ryan O'Donohue just behind this train. You'll see the 14 peek in and out of the picture. He was a contender last year. He is 12th. Justin Osterman was a contender last year. He is 10th. And so you're going to start seeing those guys filter toward the front. Troy Carricker had quite a few really awesome runs last year. Carricker in that 94 is currently 8th. 5 cars, 5th car in the top line. And now, after they got single file at the beginning, Caleb, now they're 2x2x2. We're going to call it 6 or 7 cars deep. Now 8 cars on that top line. There are about 10 on the bottom, and there are huge gaps on the top. But look at that 26 of Julian Valadez just pushing the 26 of Riley Lean, pushing Julian Valadez there on the top. Matt Sisler checking in. He's looking in on teammates Riley Lean and Alan Stierwalt. Sisler, a series mainstay, not able to make it tonight, but he's in the chat. Welcome, Matt. Hope that you're enjoying the P1 coverage from across the chat. Good to see you.
Do we consider a bit of commentator's course to where we say, drivers are going to play it single file, they're going to play it safe, and then the second we do, they immediately start going too wide, Murph?
Well, there are only 4 of them up at the top now. Everybody else has gotten in line on the bottom. Really only the front 3 on that bottom lane. That's Peyton Howell, Riley Lean, Zachariah Cartilage. Really, those cars, along with the 19 of Valadez and the 26 of Riley Lean, those are really the only cars that are willing to get pushy-shovey right now. Everybody else, as you can kind of see, is given quite a bit of room. They're spreading out a little bit. And I would imagine 10 laps into this run, after we'd had a little bit of a run earlier, that these tires are really kind of starting to wear out a little bit.
Yeah, they'll wear a little bit more than what we saw at Daytona. Still not to the point where you see a typical 1.5-mile cookie cutter track like Kansas or even Chicagoland. As we see the 73 of Vance Fisher go into the outside wall. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the tires are dropping off quite a bit here, but it should be quite a bit more tire wear than Daytona, but my guess it won't be as bad as what we see in the later portions of the season when we start going to tracks like Kansas and Chicagoland and that sort of stuff.
There you go. There's Vance Fisher. He's riding around very high in turns 3 and 4, and there you see it. The wall glue is real. Vance Fisher gets into it, and you see cars pass him on the bottom in wholesale fashion. He's got everything going back in the right direction now. He's behind the 94 of Troy Carricker in 16th spot. Do want to thank everybody for joining in as we get back to the front of this field. If you haven't already done it, as they go by the lap car, that's a 77 of Corey Palermo, and Palermo's going to spin it. Palermo is in the wall in front of the field. Everybody takes a base of action. Hard wreck in the back. Caution is on the Speedway, and that has claimed, I believe, Justin Osterman, and then a hard impact from the number 5 of Sean Mott. The other
that seemed to be the wreck that didn't stop Murph. It kind of slowly progressed, and then more and more cars kind of got into it.
It most certainly did. Here's the action. You've got Corey Palermo, who is going to go 5 laps down here, and Palermo is up high. He's trying to just let the field go, but he slaps the wall right there. And then from here, the accident is on. He hits it again, and then coming off Atlanta, the banking drops away very sharply at the exit of the corners. It turns the car loose. He's trying to keep it up in the wall. He doesn't quite get it done. Justin Osterman T-bones him, and then the wreck is absolutely on from there. Watch Sean Mott. Mott is trying to get through this. He's got John Hutchins is outside, and he just can't avoid what's coming. He's hard on the brakes. There's no ARCA brakes there for certain sure. Meanwhile, on the outside, Keith Graham is going to be involved in another tussle. You've got the 99 on the outside. Keith Graham gets clouded. You've got the 99 in the outside wall there. He has written off. That's Joshua Siegfried. He's written off that car, and we need to go back and see what's happened to Siegfried. But Keith Graham got some assistance as well. And we are back under caution here at Atlanta. Dakota, I don't know if cold tires play into that or if it's such a situation where he had a damaged car and just it slapped the wall and what wasn't broken became broken. There's Siegfried up against the wall. You can see Randy Dunlap and the impact in the background there. The other cars that they're in the picture, that is the 79 of Eric Quarter, and it's hard for me to make out. That might be Randy Dunlap in the 38. And let's go back and watch it from the roof cam on Randy Dunlap here. Again, can't really see Caleb. And by the time he gets here, the track is going to be blocked.
Yeah, it's just one of those track blocker situations. Even if you get the car as slow as you can be, sometimes it's just kind of hard to even just get the brakes and just stop the car that quickly. But interesting note, Dylan Blankenship came to the pit lane, even though I don't believe they have been in some sort of incident up to this point, but they did come down pit lane and topped up on fuel. So they should be good to go for another 65 laps here. Another driver that came into pit lane was Chad Meadows. They also came down pit lane last time around. They're on the back of the field now.
Yeah, Dylan Blankenship, Ted Craven. There's the teddy bear, the number 1, Ted Craven. And Sergio Abella, along with Sergio Abella, they all came in and topped up on fuel. Chad Meadows did affect additional repair in his 83. He was in his box 36 seconds. Keith Graham, 59 seconds, and he is back for more repair. David Dunwoody has elected to go a lap down and get additional repair done to his number 28 machine. Justin Osterman has retired. Sean Mott is on pit lane with the meatball. Corey Palermo has retired. Sergio Rodriguez is back out. He is 13 laps in arrears. Andrew Gates also has the meatball. Kevin Gettenberger is still under repair. Raymond White, Carson Hodge, and Jason Southard have all retired as we get ready to go back to a green flag action here at Atlanta, Caleb.
Yeah, Payne Howes led the majority of this race so far. Besides a couple of outside line runs, Payne Howes just kind of hold that bottom the entire time, and he's going to lead this field away to green. And green flag is dropped, and we're back racing here, Murph.
We are. We'll see if we can avoid that admin box caution flag. We'll see if we can avoid the admin box caution flag for the next 24 laps. We do have a stage break coming at lap 45. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit that like button, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts. And we do have a lot of them, Caleb. Tomorrow night, we're going to be right back here for the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. That's going to happen at 8:20 p.m. pre-race, 8:35 start. Saturday's coming soon at 2 p.m. It's going to be the iRacing IndyCar Series. Sunday night, we'll have the Votive Racing League from Michigan. Caleb and I will both be in that race. Monday night, it's a doubleheader. The iRacing Indy Open top split will take place at 7 Eastern, followed at 8:30 by the Indy Next Series top split. Tuesday, it's a triple header. It all kicks off with the Indy Oval top split at 7:15. You've got the Indy Next Oval top split at 8:30, and the nightcap, the Area 51 IndyCar Series at 9:30. On Wednesdays, the Horizon IndyCar League runs at 8 o'clock and the Formula Super Series at 8:20, so dueling streams at your pleasure. And that brings us right back here for the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start a week from today, next Thursday. Peyton Howell continues to lead it, and just as they did before, Julian Valadez and Bladen Edwards now are on the top. Riley Lean has slid his car to the bottom line, and he's got help from Zachariah Cartledge. They are third and fifth. Greg Evans is the interested party here, Caleb. He's kind of hanging out, just observing this from sixth spot.
Yeah, we saw him do that a lot at Daytona. He just kind of held back a lot, except for that very, very beginning portion of the race. But the second and third stages, they held back a lot to the point where it just you could tell they were waiting. They were waiting until, okay, now it's go time. And I guarantee you we're probably seeing that from him today as well. Yeah,
you saw the big lift. He let Christian Light go ahead of him. Greg Evans not interested in racing hard right at this moment. He's one of those drivers who wants to be there at the end. And he's probably backpedaling a little bit too. He's got Sam Crow back there in 8th behind him. Say, hey, Lewis Hayes in 9th. Those cars all working together. Ryan O'Donohue in 10th. So that DVD Motorsports team has found each other, and they are currently running 7th through 10th. Brian Sharp is the one car involved in that battle that is not part of that team. And Brian Sharp, past winner here at Atlanta, he's moving up the field. Sharp started this race in the 25th spot. He's moved into 9th, and he's looking to go by Sam Crow in 8th, and he's got help from Troy Carricker there on the top as well.
Yeah, we see the field very, very spread out at the moment. A lot more spread out than what we've seen so far today. And honestly, it doesn't look like it's very organized. There's not really a solid bottom line. There's not really a solid top line. It's just kind of these small little groups all racing together and I think that's just kind of how the nature of Atlanta is. It's not, the front stretch isn't very easy to navigate, or I guess it's not very straightforward to navigate. Backstretch is straight for the most part, but the front stretch can throw a curveball just with how that apron just kind of juts out in those kink parts.
You know it does. One of the things people might not realize, big shot from the 26 of Riley Lean into the leader, Peyton Howell there. As we watch from the blimp, this gives you a good idea of the spacing of these cars in groups. The quad oval here and at Charlotte and at Texas, especially on old tires, it is very, 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 the 19 big loose.
Massive save.
Yeah, Julian Valadez saved it, but I think Bladen Edwards had his life flash before his eyes. Valadez saved it, but not by much. Now the 26th of Riley Lean, he's going to drill the high side. Riley Lean's bidding for the lead, and he's got help from Valadez and Bladen Edwards up top.
Yeah, I've noticed a little bit of a trend here to where the second or third car on the bottom here kind of juts up to the top, and they want to challenge that 52 of Peyton Howell on the outside. So far, we haven't seen anybody successfully clear that bottom line yet, but it looks like that might just happen here, Murph.
It's going to be difficult. The 19 of Julian Valadez, he is having all sorts of issues. Let's jump aboard Bladen Edwards here, just to kind of see what he sees, because that's got to be unsettling if you're Bladen Edwards. You can see the car in front of you, kind of moving back and forth and all over the place. What does that do to you as a driver, Caleb?
It kind of puts you in an unsettling situation. You really start to learn like how to bump draft in these cars, how to fall in line. Once you start seeing a car that's trying to bump you going down these straightaways and in the corners, and they're not really holding that stable of a line, it does put a bit of nervousness as we see them go 3 wide around the outside. About 2 corners.
We're going to have a crash.
Oh!
We've got more contenders involved. Julian Valadez, Bladen Edwards, Sam Crow is involved. Hard crash. We've got that's Ted Craven, locks it down in the background, but you could see that crash coming from a couple of corners. Previous, Caleb. That 19 car had been awfully loose for a number of laps. He went 3 wide, and this one isn't really his doing either. Watch this. He's going to jump to the high side here of the 26. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Zachariah Cartilage in the 16 is going to get a little bit loose, and he is going to he's going to get the apron. He's going to come up into the 26 into the 19 like a good combination billiard shot. Off the 96, poor Sam Crow gets involved. Hey Lewis Hayes is hit. Ryan O'Donohue locks it down, avoids pit lane, avoids the penalty. Hey Lewis Hayes goes across the Legends track, and really that could have been a lot worse than it turned out to be. Christian Light avoided disaster in that. He was right behind it, and let's have a look from his roof cam. You're going to get a great angle of what happens here from this shot. Look at Christian Light. He's just all over the back of the 16, shot after shot going on straightaways. But Valadez has an awesome run to the outside. He has to take it, Caleb.
Yeah, just one of those situations, especially since we're getting later and later into the stage. You feel like it's just got to be one of those opportunities where you feel like you're faster than the people around you, and you just feel like you got to take those opportunities sometimes. But unfortunately, it just didn't really play out what you had in mind. But it was a situation that was just kind of a bit rough all around. Car barely gets their tires into the apron, they barely slide up, and that just creates one massive chain reaction. And unfortunately, it kind of took out some big contenders in this championship fight.
Yeah, it does. Sam Crow involved. We don't know about the damage on Ryan O'Donohue. He did not pit, but he certainly took a wild ride through the infield. Poor Hey Lewis Hayes. He's been going fast recently, and it seems like everywhere he goes, he is snake bit. Hey Lewis Hayes took a he hit that Legends track hard, and the grass is not the same height as the Legends track, and so when you do that, it just tears up all sorts of stuff on the air dams underneath the car, and so Lewis Hayes has been on pit lane for a minute under repair. He's maintained his position on the lead lap. Joshua Siegfried came back for some additional repair. Of course, he was involved in an early accident. All told, everybody from Dylan Blankenship, who is 18th on back, came to pit road for one reason or another under this yellow light. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you click the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing broadcasts. We've got another one of these tomorrow night. The trucks will be back here for a 200-miler at Atlanta. Caleb Brashear and I will be live at 8:20 for a pre-race show. 8:35 start right here on P1. The lights are out on the pace car, Caleb. Let's see if we can't get 10 more laps and get to the stage break here. Peyton Howell, your leader. Zachariah Cartilage on the outside, then Christian Light, Greg Evans, row 2. Former winner here, Brian Sharp and Ryan O'Donohue, are going to make up row 3. Sam Crow and Crash Neon row 4. Alan Steigerwalt and Vance Fisher are going to make up row 5.
Yeah, lights out on the pace car. Pace car dips in. Peyton Howell, as he's done already a couple times in this race, will lead the field
Green
back
flag,
to green
green
here
flag.
as the green flag flies. Peyton Howell gets a really good jump on that outside line as they go through the front straightaway and into turn number 1.
Talk about how hard it is to do that. Some of these guys, most of the lead, well, matter of fact, none of the leaders have pitted. How hard is it to restart one of these cars on this Atlanta surface when the tires are old and they're hot?
I mean, it's just tricky just to do it in any car here at Atlanta, let alone in, the O'Reilly car here that we're driving here tonight. It's a very heavy car. It wants the wheel spin, puts a lot of power down, has a lot of torque going through the body. And especially when you combine it with a track that really isn't very smooth, I would say, and isn't very grippy at all. Obviously, it's still a plate race, but it really doesn't feel like it has a lot of grip. So especially on that front straightaway, so it can be very, very tricky, and you do have to be careful when making a start or restart here.
You do indeed. I'll tell you who's not being careful. It's Crash Neon. He has put that 00 pink machine to the high side, and he is trying to get there. He's got some help from Brian Sharp now as well as Troy Carricker and the 46 machine of Andrew Jones. They're trying to make a viable high line as we get ready to end the stage. Meanwhile, Christian Light, he decides he's going to jump in front of that line. Caleb, Christian Light challenges to the outside of Zechariah Cartilage, and he's going to see if he can't be the one that's going to knock off Peyton Howell here.
Yeah, Christian Light having an absolutely amazing race. Started from 23rd on the grid, started way back there, and now he finds him at the front of this field with almost 5 to go left in the stage.
These the Danger Close team, Donald Green, Christian Light, those guys have shown an amazing aptitude for these plate races, these plate-style races, and Christian Light has put himself right at the front. He won some stages last year in this type of racing at Talladega. He is very, very good at getting his car to the front, and he is flying. And he doesn't really have a whole lot of help, but he's maintaining his position next to Zechariah Cartilage in that 16 pretty handily.
Yeah, it could be maybe just a case scenario, just having better tires at the moment. Maybe he was saving earlier on in the race, and he's able to just push that car a little bit more to where he doesn't even need help on the outside. But right now, it seems like that bottom line prevails as we see Zach, the number 16, dive to the outside there. Now he wants to try to take the lead away from Peyton Howell.
Yeah, Zechariah Cartilage and Crash Neon just kind of switched spots. I think Cartilage saw the run coming from Christian Light, decided, I think I better jump up and block that. He took the push, and he pulls even with Peyton Howell, and this is really, and now Cartilage gets loose in front of Light. Light's going to slide.
Oh.
Light smacks the wall. Everybody saves it.
Absolutely massive save there from the Christian Light there, and then number 96 just gets a little bit loose coming off turn 4, but he's able to keep the car underneath him.
We're going to keep it right here because a man with the first name Crash is challenging for the lead. He's got Troy Carricker underneath him. Carricker, the second car on the inside line. And how about Brian Sharp, past winner here in the 125? He is fourth. Scored fourth. He's third on the inside line. He is even with Crash Neon as they haul off into turn number 1. We've got 3 laps to go in the stage, Caleb.
Yeah, we talked Brian Sharp, even more impressive. Started back in 25th. Currently finds him third in line on that inside line there. But we haven't seen anybody really challenge our leader here, Peyton Howell. He's kind of led the entire race. Of course, he's not led every single lap because the outside line occasionally gets a run on the outside, but he's pretty much been at the front of this thing the entire night here, Murph.
He has. He's been on the bottom. He's had the nose of that number 52 Toyota Camry in the lead, but right now Crash Neon has said, I'd like to win this stage. Neon to the outside with help from Blade Edwards, and Zachariah Cartilage. It's Hal, Carricker, and Sharp on the bottom. The outside line has the organization as we come to 1 to go in the stage.
1 to go here. Crash Neon gets a massive run. Now he finally clears it. This might be the first time. I think this is the first time Peyton Howe's been in behind somebody the entire race. Crash Neon goes to the front in the last lap of the stage here for stage number 1. He holds that bottom. He holds the red line there on the bottom. Peyton Howe tries to look around the outside. Gets a little bit loose off the quarter. They come to the front straightaway, and it looks like Crash Neon.
The yellow flag is out.
It's
going
to be
Crash Neon able to get that stage win here, Murph.
Yeah, it's going to be Crash Neon with that stage win, and so he is going to be your Track Racer Stage 1 winner. If you go to trackracer.com, and we'll put the link in, put the promo code at the end of the web address. You make an order, 5% goes to the AMA prize pool, and so they certainly do appreciate it, and we do appreciate the support from Track Racer. That's trackracer.com for all of your sim rig needs there, Caleb. Caution is on the speedway, and now we're going to see most of the front of this field get their first crack at pitting. One of the things that I'm going to take away from that first stage and file this away for later. File this away for later, Caleb. Those cars were sliding around pretty wildly in the closing portion of that stage, just with tire wear. They were not stable at the end of that run.
No, they were not. We saw it pretty much with every single car out there. Even our leaders were sliding a bunch. They're going to come down to pit lane with a fresh breath of air, getting 4 new Goodyear tires, and maybe it'll solve the handle a little bit, but we still have another 45 lap stage here to where they got to make those tires last again. So, and this is a unique point. This is one of the few tracks where you're required to pit off turn 3 here, Murph.
Yeah, well, it's before turn 3. It's about 2/3 of the way down the backstretch. I do want to look at the weather because that's going to play into the situation with the tires. It is starting to cool off, and the wind is starting to dial itself back a little bit, and the clouds are starting to come out. The sun is also going down, and so that's going to help the grip issues here at Atlanta for these cars in the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. At Outland Custom Arms, their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms. Rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy, every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and uncompromising pursuit. And an uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That's Outland Custom Arms. I got to tell you, Caleb, something else. As the sun goes down, this is going to get more and more racy.
Yeah, the track will, I think it should get a little bit easier to control the car underneath you as the temperatures go down a little bit. The headlight or the stadium lights come on. It should get a little bit easier to control, obviously with the cooler temperatures, and maybe the car will slide out around just a little bit less here, and we'll get some closer racing, and then we'll see true proper pack racing here at Atlanta.
Absolutely. Just to remind everybody of our upcoming schedule, tomorrow night we'll have the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series from Atlanta. That's the Dixie 200, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start. Right here on P1. Sunday night, it's the Votive IndyCar Oval Series, 8 o'clock from the Michigan Speedway. Monday night, it's a doubleheader. The IndyCar Open Series Top Split goes live from Sebring at 7 o'clock, followed at 9 by the Indy Next Road Series, and they are at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, Mexico City. Tuesday, it's a triple header. The IndyCar Oval Series will kick that off at 7:15. They are at Michigan. In the middle, you've got the Indy Next Oval Series top split from Richmond and the nightcap, the Area 51 IndyCar Series that is the oldest continuously running IndyCar Series in the sim, Caleb. 9:30 from Nashville. Wednesday, it's the Formula Super Series from Motegi at 8:20, and I believe the Horizon IndyCar Series also has a race at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. That brings us right back here to the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series from Circuit of the Americas, Caleb. You're a road course guy.
Of course.
You're a road course guy. You're a road course guy. You like COTA?
No. I'd say COTA is one of my least lesser favorite road courses, but we'll talk about that later, Murph. We'll talk about that once we actually get to the track. We got to talk about, this green flag that just flew.
We do indeed. The field is back at it, and we're going to look at the front of this train. Peyton Howell and Bladen Edwards steam out ahead, and they're 2x2 behind them. That is the 16 Zechariah Cartledge Crash Neon. You've got Brian Sharp involved in that, and here comes Alan Steigerwald and Christian Light behind that pairing. Front three are gone, and then 2x2, 3 rows deep behind them.
Yeah, we see it fan out just like we have seen for the first stage here. It seems like we don't really have a true bottom line or a true top line that we usually do see here at Atlanta. Not quite yet. And as I say, it seems like we do have a bottom line kind of forming here, Murph.
We do. We saw a lot of action in that first stage. Be interesting to see if the drivers decide to take it a little bit easier here in the second. Christian Light isn't taking it easy. He was 8th not 2 laps ago. He's moved it back to 3rd and is all over the back of Bladen Edwards for 2nd.
Yeah, we said earlier, starting 23rd mid-pack of this field, and they find themselves inside the top 5 at the moment, absolutely just flying through the field here. And we also see that from Brian Sharp. He's currently came around 7th last time around. He started 25th. He's gained a lot of spots too. So it's not like Daytona where sometimes you struggle to get back up to the field. You can pass here around Atlanta, and you can make it work here.
You can. If you ever wanted to know what it's like to ride shotgun in a AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series car, we've got you covered. Look at that. Look at that camera. That is incredible. Thank you to Whiplash SimCams for that, by the way. If you're an iRacing photographer or broadcaster, go see Whiplash SimCams. These camera shots are pretty cool, Caleb.
They are indeed, and as we see on the bottom line, we're seeing the bottom line get very, very close together. I'd say it's close as it's been the entire night. And we see the third car in the line, that's the number 16 of Zechariah Cartledge. Kind of get to the apron. He's kind of touched that red line a couple times over the course of this lap here, Murph.
He has, and that was the cause of one of the earlier accidents. Remember, we had a car touch the red line, wiggle loose, and took out 2 of our top contenders. So you got to be careful. As we say in the IndyCar world, apron bad, Caleb. Apron bad.
Apron bad unless you're trying to make a last lap pass for the win here, Murph. That's kind of the motto how we do it with us IndyCar guys. But especially in NASCAR, the car can get very, very loose. It's not very grippy down there, and it's not something you really want to be doing in the first place. The car can get unstable, and it can, even if it doesn't get unstable, sometimes you just lose speed in general just because of how different the surface is.
You do. What happens is you get down there, and it completely de-wedges the car. It puts all the weight on the right rear spring, and you have no way. Of controlling your race car hardly. Very difficult. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in, Caleb. We just passed another milestone. 1,000 views on the broadcast. Do want to absolutely thank everybody in the stands this evening. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can follow along with all of our iRacing broadcasts. You're watching the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series live from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we are working Blackmagic Studios stage number 2. The break is going to be at lap 90, so we've got about 32 laps to go here.
Yeah, it's going to be a mirror of what the first stage was. First stage was 45 laps. Second stage will be 45 laps. The third stage will be 73 laps, which is just slightly longer than what these cars can do over the course of a fuel tank. So if we don't have a caution in the third stage, we will see green flag pit stops.
Yes, and that's going to be interesting with that really long pit road. That's going to be interesting with that really long pit road there, Caleb, as to how much time you lose, and you get a caution in. You get a caution in there, and that is absolutely going to ruin your night.
Yeah, it's going to ruin your night. But I tell you whose night isn't ruined so far. That's Peyton Howell. He has pretty much just dominated the entirety of this race. He's led at nearly every single lap apart from a couple. Got second in stage number 1, and it looks like he's wanting to get a stage win here in stage number 2 as well.
You know, he is. Peyton Howell led pretty much the entire way the last time through, but he got nipped at the line by Crash Neon. So just because you've led the whole way here, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be leading when it comes down time to pay the money, Caleb.
No, it does not. We see so many times, whatever racing series where a car will just dominate. They'll be out front, and then they just get nipped at the line. You kind of feel a little bit heartbroken, but sometimes, when you have a Crash Neon situation to where they make an outside pass going into turn 1, and you just kind of forget about that, and you just think, wow, that was incredible. That was incredible racing. But Peyton Howell pretty much dominating this race here in the early stages.
The drone shot is going to give you a great angle of just how spread out this field is. The first 15 cars are right together there. Well, the first 9 cars are right together. You get about a second back to Brian Sharp, and he's got a pack behind him. And then you've got cars spread out after that. And so this is not a situation right now where cars are on top of each other and they can't get away. Do want to point out that Ryan O'Donoghue, Greg Evans have found each other. They run along with John Hutchins, Kendall Paul, and Colby Pierce. That's Brian Sharp in front of them. Sam Crow, who had contact earlier, one of their teammates, the other part of that DVD Motorsport crew. Sam Crow is in 21st position. He is the number 8 machine, and he is kind of in a pack, kind of in a pack that's separated a little bit. David Dunwoody in that 28 machine is 2 laps down, and he wants to stay there right now because he'd be the lucky dog if, whoa, we got contact. That was the 98 of Sebastian Rodriguez. He got it saved. I couldn't get the camera to him in time. But watch this. Sebastian Rodriguez, and he is 13 laps off the pace. He is going to come down trying to follow the quad oval here. Bang doors with Sam Crow, and he hits that outside wall pretty good, Caleb.
Yeah, just another one of those situations where the apron kind of just sticks out a little bit on the front stretch. And I was kind of paying attention to this front group here, and it's amazing how much this field has spread out. The front group here has already separated themselves about half a lap here over drivers like David Dunwoody and that group behind.
Yeah, that action that we were watching with Sam Crow and Dylan Blankenship, James Hodgson, those cars are 17 seconds behind the leaders. They are a half a lap down here, and you got to wonder, Is that by design? Are they trying to do that just to stay out of trouble? I do want to give a call down to Kendall Paul though. Kendall Paul started this race in the 34th spot. He is up to 14th. He has made up 20 positions thus far and continues to surge forward here in the Peachtree 250.
Yeah, he's currently in that second group right now, and that second group is about one straightaway behind the front pack at the moment. So they got to start if they want to start catching up to this first group here. They're going to have to start working together, and it looks like they are at the moment. They have Greg Evans at the point. However, as I say that, it looks like I believe that's the 57 of Kevin Grettenberger is going to dip down the inside and just kind of hold him up a little bit.
Well, Gettenberger is 28 laps off the pace. He's running in 32nd spot, so he is not a factor for position. However, they may be letting him through to save fuel and let him break the wind, so to speak.
That is true. Even though these cars can make it on fuel in this stage, it may be better as we in the front group we have a big contact. We have a car in the wall there, and we're gonna have a caution, and that's the 94.
It is the 94 of Troy Carricker, the 87 of Alan Steigerwalt. It doesn't look like they hit anything too awfully hard, but we're going to go back and see if we can't figure out the cause of the caution. Cautions in the AMA are brought to you by Admin Box. Race control at the touch of a button. You can visit them at www.adminbox, that's 2x's.com. And here we go. One more time. It almost looked like the 46 car got loose on the bottom in front, and that caused Steigerwalt to kind of get a little bit out of shape, and then he tags Carricker. There's a car that slides through on the top, and I didn't catch who that was, but see the 46 down there? I think that kind of triggered that action, and then you've got Joshua Siegfried. He comes through and spins harmlessly through the accident scene. You see Brian Sharp go to the bottom, take evasive action. Everybody does a pretty decent job here of avoidance, but you do have some guys that might need a fresh pair of brown pants coming through there, Caleb, but I think everybody's going to be okay out of this. Light contact for Carricker and Siegfried, and we are under the admin box caution one more time here at Atlanta. I do want to thank our series sponsor, Outland Custom Arms. At Outland Custom Arms, our mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That's Outland Custom Arms. As we see cars file into the pit lane. Now, you're not going to see the leaders come here, Caleb. They're all staying out.
Yeah, I think it's more of a situation. They're already out front. They know they have the pace advantage over the rest of the field at the moment. And possibly just to stay in front of the wreck if it does happen. Instead of trying to avoid the wreck, you'd rather be in front of it. That's always kind of my mindset a little bit on staying out, especially when you can make it to the end on fuel in terms of the stage in stage number 2.
You do. One of the things that you can kind of see here, and it's they're getting better with this with every build, but you can see the rubbering of the track beginning to form, Caleb. The bottom line is starting to darken up. The second lane starting to darken up. The marbles are starting to form in the third groove. We'll see if we can't jump up on the roof of Christian Light, and you can kind of see the groove and where it is start to develop, Caleb. Talk about what that means in terms of tire wear and grip and all of those types of things.
Well, once you see that group file up, and we are about not quite halfway in the stage. We are kind of around the halfway point as we actually are 1 to green here this time around. You'll start to see cars slide around, but of course, you also got to keep in mind, Murph, that sun is coming down. That will affect how these tires wear and how fast they wear, how loose the cars will get as the track gets colder.
Yeah, we've lost another degree of air temperature, and we've lost another degree of track temperature, as you see there on your screen. So the grip is going to continue to increase. Peyton Howell and Bladen Edwards are going to be your front row. They're going to be followed by Kristen Light and Zechariah Cartledge. Crash Neon, Andrew Jones are going to be in row number 3. Vance Fisher, Brian Sharp. Row 4, row 5, Ryan O'Donohue and John Hutchins. They'll be followed by Kendall Paul and Eric Corder from 11th and 12th. Colby Pierce, Mike Rigney, and we haven't talked about Mike Rigney in that Sim Gaming Expo machine very much, but he's going to line up 14th for this restart. Caleb?
Yeah, he will. I have a good login memories with Sim Gaming Expo, so hopefully he could get a really good start here. But pace cars rounding turn 4. Not quite there yet, but we should be going green very, very, very shortly.
We should indeed. The pace car does peel off of the pit lane. Barney puts the green flag back up in the air. Laps
Green,
72 are complete here at Virtual Atlanta, and we are ready to start lap 73 here in the Outland Custom Arms AMA Grand National Series. And already caution, and that's, I believe, Keith Graham around at the start-finish line. Caution is out one more time. And that is also the 57 of Kevin Grettenberger involved. Let's see what happens here. Looks like Grettenberger got tagged by the 87 of Alan Steigerwalt, and that shot him up the racetrack. Poor Keith Graham is an innocent bystander. David Dunwoody is able to take evasive action, and we are under caution one more time. Steigerwalt on the lead lap. And there you see the shot to the 57. Just anticipate the start a little bit too much there, Caleb.
Yeah, it appears so. We already talked about how tricky the restarts here can be at Atlanta with how low grip the track is and how kind of unnatural that front straightaway feels. It just seems like it just a little bit too eager on the start here, Murph.
Yeah, and Joshua Siegfried did get a black flag. I believe that is for exit of pit lane while it was closed. So Siegfried is going to have to go to the back of the line. We are under caution here at Atlanta. The admin box caution is back on the Speedway. If you're a race controller or a league admin, you run hosted sessions, go get yourself an admin box. Race control at the touch of a button. That is www.adminbox.com. Crash Neon won the first stage. He lies in the 6th spot, Caleb. You think he can get up there and do it again?
Oh, I reckon so. Crash starting back in 19th. He's already gained 13 spots in the race. We saw him win stage number 1 with an incredible outside pass. I reckon he can do it again here, Murph.
You know, I bet he can. I'll tell you what, David Dunwoody just took the free pass. Dunwoody is going to go back to 1 lap down, and there's Dunwoody. I told him when he sent me this car, David Dunwoody is a longtime friend and sponsor of mine, Blackmagic Studios. I told David Dunwoody when he painted that car that he needed to go out and hit the pace car. Of course, honoring the late Robert Duvall, played a fictionalized version of Harry Hyde, very thinly disguised fictionalized version, Harry Hogg, in the 1990 movie Days of Thunder. And those lines from Robert Duvall ring true for any race fan. Hit the pace car, Dunwoody. That is a beauty.
Fun fact, I was -11 when that came out, and I bet you feel very old because of that, Murph.
You know, I remember going to the theater to see that movie, and I remember it. I remember because we didn't go to the movies very often when I was a kid, but it's one of the first times I can remember going to a movie theater to see a movie, and I remember that my parents very deliberately removed me from the theater during the crash sequence where Cole Trickle gets hurt and Rowdy Burns where they get hurt. They disguised it as a trip to get popcorn, but in reality, I was racing karts at the time, and they did not want me to see a driver being depicted as hurt. So we left the theater during that scene. I didn't see that scene in the movie until I was in high school, because you didn't have home media and stuff back then, or if you did, it was VHS tapes, and they were prohibitively expensive, and we didn't have cable, so I didn't see that part of the movie until I was in high school. But great movie, iconic racing movie for sure.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed Murph's little trip down memory lane, but we got to take a different route here as we're 1 to green here, Murph. Pace car rounding turns 3 and 4.
Let's get this thing back on current events. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can get a notice every time we go live, and we do this a lot. We've got a race pretty much every night here. Barney puts the green flag in the air one more time. Peyton Howell will stand tall on the loud pedal, and we are going to get back green here.
Yeah, just like how he's done on every single restart so far. Gets a really, really good jump on the rest of the field, immediately taking that bottom line like we've seen him do the entire night. And we kind of see the rest of the field, that outside line immediately form into the bottom here, Murph.
We do indeed. Great Kramer shots courtesy of Whiplash Sim Cams. We get back to... Yeah, they're trying in the back, aren't they? Say Hey Lewis Hayes, I thought, was just about to buy the farm going through the start-finish line. Everybody gets it straightened up. But there's Say Hey Lewis Hayes. I thought for sure he had that car every which way but wrecked and wound up saving it. Let's get back to the front, though, because Christian Light is a man on a mission. He has moved his car back into the third spot, and he is going to challenge Bladen Edwards for second at any moment.
Yeah, we saw him last time around kind of dip below that apron on the front straightaway. You kind of look at the inside of the car right in front of him, and he started towards the middle back of the field, but he's not content with that. He wants to get some more positions here, Murph.
Yes, he does. He's not content right there where he is. He wants to move the car forward. I can tell you this. Crash Neon looks awfully antsy from that sixth spot also. And so it's going to be interesting. When do they go? And Christian Light peeks to the high side just as I say that. I don't think he's waiting. He's not going to wait for the last lap as they do in the movies. I think Christian Light wants to go to the lead right now.
That kind of plays a factor with tend to go left of the stage. The earlier you go, the less you have to worry about time running out, and possibly with tire wear being a factor here. Atlanta, they say dirty air is a thing, and with you sitting behind another car in front, that could affect tire wear just a little bit, to where once you get later and later in the stage, that pass for the lead coming to the stage end just may be harder and harder as the stage goes on.
It just may be. We're riding on board Christian Light. You can audibly, let's listen at him, because you may think that this is flat out. This is not flat out, Caleb. Listen at him when he goes into turn 3 here. You can hear Christian Light playing with the throttle all the way through these corners. And you see the 27 get loose. Bladen Edwards is loose in front of Christian Light going through the quad oval. that's got to be unsettling if you're Christian Light to sit there and watch that, but you don't have a choice. Light is looking for a way through. He's trying to get to the bottom, but there is no way past that 27 at the current moment.
Yeah, we heard Christian just kind of dancing with the throttle through the corners here. He's trying to look for a way around, and the later he goes into the stage, the harder it's going to be. The field might be a little bit more spread out by then, so maybe he doesn't have to worry from anything behind. He can just focus ahead. However, later we get in the stage, the harder it is going to be.
Well, and not just from a run standpoint, not just from a traction standpoint in your own car, but think about this too, Caleb. You know, if you're trying to pass somebody, you need to push, and Light drills the bottom, and he edges his way in.
It kind of used his bumper a little bit to force his way in. He moves up into second, but that's not going to be content for our second place driver, the 27.
Well, we got trouble. Christian Light hard in the wall.
Flag is out.
Christian Light hard into the wall, and that takes a crash Neon as well.
Not only Crash Neon involved, former winner Brian Sharp sees his day go up in smoke. The 16 of Zechariah Cartledge, who had been up front all day, he is involved. A plethora of good cars sees their good day evaporate, and it all started, I think, with a bad push here. But let's go back and check it out. So there's Zechariah Cartledge. He is on the bottom. The first question is, does he get into Christian Light? The answer is, there's the contact. So now there's Christian Light. He gets turned loose. Poor Crash Neon, nowhere to go. And Brian Sharp clouts Crash Neon, and so too does Kendall Paul. Hard lick for Sharp, hard impact for Crash Neon. Let's go back and look at their vantage points. Here's Crash Neon from his roof cam, and he's thinking, man, this is about to be I'm walking in high cotton. I'm going to drive by the 46 on the high side. I got to the high side, and here comes the right hook, and Crash Neon just nowhere to go.
And not only that, he gets absolutely ran by Sharp after the fact. Oh, just absolutely big hit for Crash Neon. You saw him work that outside line in stage number 1, and it did work for him to a point where he won the stage. And you started to see him try that move again, but unfortunately he just had nowhere to go there.
No, and you can't really blame Brian Sharp either. I mean, he got there and the track was closed. You see Ryan O'Donohue already dropped to the apron and already dropped to the apron and already on the binders, avoiding trouble. And about that Superflow painted car from Days of Thunder, David Dunwoody, lucky dog, he's now made up 2 laps, and he is back on the lead lap. He's got some wrinkles in the nose of that Chevrolet. But how about it? David Dunwoody back on the lead lap. He's going to come in. I bet they're going to do some more ironing on those wrinkles on the hood of that Chevy under this caution, Caleb.
I guarantee you we will. It's not the first time. We've already seen that happen already with Justin Osterman, I believe in the truck race last week at Daytona, to where he was 2 laps down, and then we found him right at the finish inside the top 5 fighting for the win. So it's not over until it's over here, Murph.
It is not. Cautions in the AMA are brought to you by Admin Box. Race control at the touch of a button. If you are a league admin, you run hosted sessions, you are a race controller, visit them at www.adminbox.com for your custom race control button box today. I've got one, Caleb. They're pretty nice piece of kit to have. They got replay controls on them too. The newer ones have replay controls. Also, the version 4s, I am told, they have sound, and so they will call the caution for you. And they also light up with the current color of the action. So the buttons are green when it's green. They're yellow when they're yellow. If you have occasion to throw a red flag, they're red. They'll go black light when it's checkered flag time. All kinds of cool stuff that those admin boxes do. So check them out. Have they called the end to Blackmagic Studios Stage 2, Caleb? Because I know we were getting close to that.
They have. They will see this caution through to the end of stage number 2. Caution was extended by 4 laps, so this will be the end of the stage here. The number 27 of Edwards is actually going to be your stage winner. He actually got ahead of Peyton Howe right when the caution came out, so he's actually going to be our stage winner as long as he decides not to go down pit lane at the last second.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. Blackmagic Studios is a small operation dedicated to high-quality iRacing paints and wraps for any car. You can visit them on Discord or Facebook for your next high-quality iRacing paint and wrap. That is Blackmagic Studios, and I will personally tell you that those are some pretty good-looking hot rods. David Dunwoody does those things. He's been painting my IndyCar for several years now, but he did for me, Caleb, what I would term as my favorite iRacing paint, and it's not on an IndyCar. You would have seen it during this year's Firecracker 400 had you tuned it in, Mr. Brashear.
Unfortunately, I regret to inform I don't actually own any of the 87 NASCAR, sir, so I would know what you're talking about exactly, Murph. I hate to say
you could have watched the broadcast, but that
is very true.
He whipped me up. A hot rod Lincoln for that race. So Ford Thunderbird, but with Ford Thunderbird lines, or Ford Thunderbird with a Lincoln Mark 8 nose and tail. Little homage to John Andretti for you there, Brashear. Surely you know about John Andretti and the hot rod Lincoln.
Oh, I do. You've been addicted to, you've been talking about Lincolns here, Murph. You talk about buying one. I think you got a little bit of love for him, don't you?
It's Caleb and I were having a discussion the other night about cars. He was suggesting that that for a, because I'm looking for a fun car, and I kind of want to get a classic. The lights are on, by the way. You were suggesting a Cadillac Alante because you want to ride with me to an IMSA race so we get in the Cadillac corral, right?
Well, we already got that. I already got a Cadillac. I got a 2018 XTS, and I absolutely love it. So that's why I suggested it to you.
There you go. But no, if I was going to, if there are 2 classic muscle cars that I would really love to have. One would be a Lincoln Mark 8, and the other, if I can, the time to buy one would have been about 20 years ago, and I regret not having done it when I was a single man and they were a third of what they are now. But I would really love to have a Buick Grand National in my garage. I can remember those cars being $15,000 out the door in perfect shape, not all that long ago, and they have absolutely skyrocketed in price. Now they're worth they trade $60,000-$70,000 now. So I missed my chance, Caleb.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When that Grand National came out, it was number 2 in the world at the time for top end speed for a production car.
It was number 2 for top end. It was the fastest car in a standing quarter. So when that car was released, it was faster in a standing quarter mile than a Ferrari F40. It did not turn, but you could go stoplight to stoplight in that car just about as you go stoplight to stoplight in that car faster than anything else on the planet. Had a turbocharger done by McLaren, if memory serves. And the beautiful thing about those Buick V6s back then were it was one piece. It was one piece block and heads, and it was iron. So they were heavy, but you could run basically an unlimited amount of boost through those things, and they were plenty fast. The field is going to hit pit road plenty fast, and they've all been they're going to want to do that. They've all been out 43 laps. Several cars have taken the opportunity under the extended caution to effect extended repair. Carricker, Neon, Riley Lean, Alan Steigerwalt, Chad Meadows, Sam Crow, David Dunwoody, Christian Light are those drivers. They will all have to drop to the rear on the restart, which is fair. They're going to be in the rear anyway. But they took the opportunity to effect repair under the yellow light. The leaders are headed down pit lane, and we'll see who wins the race on pit road. They're led down by Bladen Edwards.
Yeah, we'll see him take 4 fresh Goodyear tires and a full tank of Sunoco fuel. This third stage is just slightly longer than what you could do on a full tank. I don't think we will see, if we do go green, anybody try to fuel save that entire distance. I think it's just outside, Murph. I think it's just outside what you can do on a tank. In testing you can get about 65 laps of fuel, and we have 73 laps to go in this stage. So nothing's impossible here, Murph, but I do think it is just outside what the limit of these cars can do around here in terms of fuel mileage.
Yeah, and not forget the fuel mileage. We saw drivers sliding around, knocking the wall down. We saw drivers sliding around, knocking the wall down after 40 laps. I can't imagine what trying to do 70 some odd laps would be like. Dylan Blankenship has not been to pit lane under this yellow, and so we would anticipate he is going to do that. He's been out 17. Well, he may not. He's been out 17 laps. He may not have a set of tires to take, Caleb.
That could very well be the case. Although in my mind, it would still be best to at least take fuel as much as possible. Or maybe they're just going to save time. Maybe he has one set left, knowing he has to pit, and he's like, okay, let's save it for the end of the race. Save it for, the last 10-lap run here. Maybe that's the strategy he's going to try to go for. We were going to go green this time by, and it seems like it got extended.
Yeah, they're going to extend the caution one more lap. Kendall Paul trundling off a pit lane. Do want to thank our series sponsor, Outland Custom Arms. Their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That is Outland Custom Arms. Eric Corder has checked in. He said he missed the wreck, clicked the downshift button by mistake, and blew the motor, and that is a tough break for Eric Corder, who had a good run going here at Atlanta. The caution, this extended caution, is going to mean they're going to get the green flag with 70 laps to go.
If we stay green, I think it probably is possible at this point. We have had quite a long caution here, so they might be able to save it here, Murph.
But do you want to, is the question. Dylan Blankenship has thrown his chips in the middle of the table. He's saying, look, I'm going to stop, right? If you're staying out here, that means you're splitting the last stage in half. You're going to come on and get some new tires with about 35 to go. Turn that 12 into a rocket ship and see if you can't drive around everybody as they save gas. That's going to be the strategy for Dylan Blankenship. Everybody else, as the lights continue on the pace car, so not green this time. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button, ring the bell, subscribe to P1. So that
Hang on, we're not going green. Not going green.
So we've still got, I think the issue is they're trying to get cars in the back lined up. Is that accurate, Caleb?
I think that's the case here, Murph. I think they're trying to give drivers towards the back. We see Sam Crow give an EOL penalty. We see Alan Stierwald an EOL penalty. Actually, you got two EOL penalties there, end of line penalties. So I think they're still trying to figure out the field here. And all that's going to do is it's going to shorten the race, and it's going to make that fuel save easier. And I imagine you talk about whether or not you want to do that or not. I think you do want to save that fuel for a track like this where the pit lane, it doesn't start, right at the front straightaway. You can just come off turn 4. You got to come off halfway down the backstretch, and you got to start braking halfway down the backstretch. It's a very, very long time you're off throttle. So I imagine you probably do want to fuel save this as much as possible here, Murph.
They're certainly going to get a crack at it. The earliest we're going to go back to green is 68 laps to go, and that should be right on the outer edge of what they can do to make it. So we'll see what the plan is. What the plan is here. Do want to let everybody know, when you subscribe to P1, you get some of the finest iRacing broadcasts that are available. Tonight, it's the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Tomorrow, it's going to be the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. That goes at 8:20. That goes live at 8:20 for the pre-race. 8:35 for the race start. Sunday night, it's the Votive Indy Oval Series, round 3 from Michigan. They'll be live at 8 o'clock Sunday night. Monday, we're going to kick off a doubleheader with the IndyCar Open Series top split from Sebring at 7. And then at 9, it's the Indy Next Road Series from Mexico City. Tuesday, it's a triple header. Starts at 7:15 with the IndyCar Oval Series from Michigan. In the middle, you've got the Indy Next Oval Series from Richmond, and the nightcap, the Area 51 IndyCar Series from Nashville at 9:30. On Wednesday, it's the Horizon IndyCar Series from Motegi, and the Formula Super at 8 o'clock in the Formula Super Series. They will also be at Twin Ring Motegi. On the other Twin Ring at Motegi, they'll be doing the road course. And that brings us right back here to the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series from Circuit of the Americas. 1 week's time, same bad channel. Dylan Blankenship is going to line up as the leader. And this is going to be interesting. He's on older tires, and he has a bunch of guys behind him that are on freshies.
Green flag, green flag.
Yes, this should be interesting. We know Dylan's going to be full push, and actually he loses the lead off the start there. The outside line gets a really good run. We know Dylan's he's going to have to pit. Whether or not he has another set of tires, we don't know. However, we know he's probably going to pit. Whether or not everybody else is going to pit or not, I think it's going to be a fuel save for everybody else here, Murph.
They're definitely going to try it. Blankenship drops to second, and it's a familiar name at the front. Peyton Howell goes back to the lead spot. Blankenship second, Bladen Edwards third. Vance Fisher has moved up into the 4th spot. Andrew Jones 5th, and Ryan O'Donohue has come back up through the field. He is now 6th.
Yeah, we see a couple of lap cars that came off pit lane kind of get thrown into the mix here, kind of interrupted that outside line that kind of was fading away anyways, but it's going to be a bottom line fest. We see Dylan Blankenship, even though he's full push right now, he slots himself in the second. He's kind of stayed there. He hasn't really fallen off pace yet too much.
No, he hasn't. And the tires are going to be like that, Caleb. As long as he's, they were under caution for 10 laps or more. So of the 17 laps he started with, only really 7 of them were under green. And he was able to get those tires good and cool. So he's going to have grip at the beginning of this run. The question is, once he starts to get to low on fuel, is he going to have any grip? That's going to be my question.
Well, it seems like to be with this Goodyear tire, and it seems to just be a thing with stock cars in general. They seem to have a lot of pace. at the beginning of the stint. But as that stint goes on, the tire wear just gets a little bit worse, and you just start dropping off pace. That's where you start seeing, especially at the 1.5 miles and the short tracks, you really see drivers manage their tires to where they're not going to be pushing 100%. Whether or not Dylan Blankenship has already pushed that tires in that first 17 laps he did before the stage started, we don't know. We really haven't been paying attention to that much, but it seems like he's going to take the outside line here. It looks like he's going to be full push from now on. And again, it's just another point of view. Does he have another set of tires? We know he's going to have to come down pit lane one more time before the end of the race. Whether or not he has another set of tires, whether or not he's going to be full push right now or not, it's going to be completely up in the air here, Murph.
It is, and that's the thing. We don't know. To my recollection, he has not been involved in any of the fracas that have occurred, and so, we don't know. I would assume that he probably does have one more set, and his intention is to split this more or less in half. The guys that stay out and try to make this an economy run, they're going to have to go significantly slower. As we see the 21, that is Sergio Abella. He's up there trying to race his way back onto one lap down. And he wants to do that, right? He wants to do that. And you see the 16, that's Zachariah Cartledge. He's going to make it 3 wide on Abella and slot in behind Blankenship. Vance Fisher gets out of the way of that in a hurry.
Yeah, and another thing we got to consider is that I think we're starting to see the two strategies that we talked about. Drivers that are fuel saving, drivers that are full push. We have two groups of cars at the moment, and I guarantee you that is the two different strategies we are seeing. One is going to be a full push strategy to where they know they're going to have to stop one more time, and then you see the fuel save strategy to where they're going to try to extend this stint as long as possible. But another thing we considered, we did talk about a little bit under that stage caution, is how the tire wear is going to affect this third stage. Obviously, we're later into the night. The track temp has come down a little bit. So that also has to play a factor, and maybe the tire wear will be a little bit less. However, they still got another 20 laps, another 25 laps on top of what the stages they've seen previously. And we saw that tire wear be quite a bit of a factor, especially in that first stage.
In the background, Ted Craven just gave the exit of turn 4 outside retaining wall a whack. Craven was running at the back of this lead group, and there's Craven. He is now some 1.8 seconds behind. And look, you mentioned there are two distinct groups. So everybody from Peyton Howell, and there's Howell, your leader, back to say, hey, Lewis Hayes. You've got the 54 Michael Kirk and the 11 of John Hutchins. The top 11 cars, they're standing on it. Last lap for Peyton Howell, 31.306. Ted Craven is kind of the monkey in the middle, and then you've got another 2 seconds back to this group, led by Kendall Paul. Their last lap, 31.887. And you've got Kendall Paul, Riley Lean, who ran well early, Alan Steigerwalt, Sam Crow, Mike Rigney, David Dunwoody, Colby Pierce, Troy Carricker, Crash Neon is in this group. There are a bunch of veterans, and this is the group that I would imagine is saving fuel. They are Caleb, half a second slower than the leaders, and so they're looking at their race labs. They're looking at the eye overlay. They're looking at the black box in iRacing, and they're saying, what number do I need to hit to make it to the end of this thing?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky to calculate fuel mileage on the go, so you have those resources available to you. However, another thing you got to think about, you guys still keep pace. You can fuel save all you want. However, if you don't keep up with the pace, and it seems like they're going to be a half a second slower, I reckon as we get later and later into a run, they're going to start thinking, okay, this front group is starting to put a lap on this now, and that is something you definitely do not want to do here, Murph.
No, you don't. They are about 6 seconds in arrears, and they're kind of playing a bit of leapfrog back in that second group. We see Mike Rigney go to the front. Now we got caution. We got trouble. Hard in the wall goes Kendall Paul. Troy Carricker is involved. That is the 87 of Alan Steigerwalt. No caution as yet. Everybody gets it going or they're off the racing line. No caution for this incident, and it's all going to start, I believe, with Kendall Paul. Troy Carricker was also heavily involved, but let's see what has brought out this accident as we cross another mile, or what's caused this accident. It's the 57 that begins the chain reaction. That is Kevin Gettenberger. Carricker has to avoid him. Kendall Paul goes up and whacks the wall right there. You see the 87 and the 83 get together, just trying to avoid. Everybody spins down, but they spin down harmlessly to the apron, and that will not trigger the iRacing caution.
No, it will not. The iRacing caution only detects cars that are stopped actually on the racing surface itself. The apron, while it is a racing surface per se, isn't the main racing surface, so the iRacing caution will not detect it. However, that has pretty much thrown the fuel safe strategy out the window. That we see that second group, they were about a straightaway behind. Now they're not even in the picture anymore. That second group is completely just spread out at the moment, and it's kind of ruined the fuel safe strategy. And now we see the front group just pulling away from everybody else at the moment.
Yeah, you've got Peyton Howell and Bladen Edwards, and they have been very loyal to each other in that first and second spot. They're still going something like a half a second a lap quicker than that second group. Here's the second group. It's now whittled down to 4 cars, though. Colby Pierce, Mike Rigney, David Dunwoody, and Sam Crow. They are the only 4. Then you've got 6 seconds back to Crash Neon, and he's got Riley Lean with him. And then another couple of seconds back to Randy Dunlap. He's by himself. So too is Chad Meadows. Chad Meadows has Troy Carricker with him. These cars right here are in danger of going a lap down. They're only about 6 seconds ahead of the leader, and they would desperately like a caution flag, as would Christian Light. And there's Christian. He would love a caution because he would get a lucky dog and get back on that lead lap. Meanwhile, back at the front 2, well, we've got a challenge for lead. I was just about to say the front 3.
Carnival.
That's Andrew Jones in the 46, and he just lost. He had to back in, come around. He lost it going through 3 and 4, goes up and slaps the wall. And that's almost like a Darlington stripe scenario. Again, he keeps it going, but loses track position, but he does stay within contact of that lead group. I was going to point out that the front 3 had pulled away, and then I realized one of those 3 is Greg Evans, and he is 3 laps down after having had to effect repair under that last caution. So Greg Evans, just as fast as these leaders, but he wants to get around there. He wants to get around there and get one of his laps back.
Yeah, the top 3 originally had Dylan Blankenship fighting for that, but Dylan is on the older tires, and I think we're starting to see that little effect on his car. He's dropped back considerably from where he was, and now he's behind Carledge, who is sitting in 3rd. Greg Evans, of course, being the lap car down, kind of helping that front group move along per se. But Dylan Blankenship, I think we may see him come down pit lane soon if the tire wear continues to fall off a little bit.
Yeah, in my estimation, he needs to make it to about 35 to go. That would be his ideal. Split it in half, come down, get 4 fresh Goodyears, get back out on the track. We do want to thank everybody for tuning in. We've had another massive night here for the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. If you haven't already done it, do us a solid. Hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1, and we do this just about every day and night. There's iRacing action on the channel. So thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. But if you hit that subscribe button as the 16 of Zechariah Cartledge,
I'm going to save it there, Murph.
I couldn't even find the words to describe it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and just watch his hands. For the fans at home, just watch his hands. You think that you think that the sim racers don't have skills. Watch this catch from Zechariah Cartledge as he goes through turns 3 and 4.
I think this is what the youngins called a Tokyo Drift moment, Murph.
I mean, I saw that movie before you were born too, but this is that how he saved that car is beyond me. And he keeps right on going. He's in 9th spot. So good work by Zechariah Cartledge to save that race car. But Dylan Blankenship is now at the point where he's 45 laps on his tires. Now only 35 of those are under green, but he has now lost touch with the lead duo, which is a trio if you include Greg Evans. And there they are. Evans is now in front of them, and I think that may be by design. They're saying, look, Greg Evans, you can go out there and burn your tires off to your heart's content. They have also caught Troy Carricker and Chad Meadows, and so the leaders are going to try to navigate around them. Meadows and Carricker are going to stay low.
Not exactly making it easy for him. Murph. Greg Evans does get around the R2 leaders still on that high side, but Greg Evans out on the point at the moment. Of course, he's laps down. So, but Dylan Blankenship, I think this is a very important point. Can't find my words. Important point here, Murph, is that his tires are falling off, but they aren't falling off as bad as we might have thought. He's still on that tail end, just outside of the draft range, as it seems like he's caught up to the pack a little bit. But the tires don't seem to have fallen off as bad as we might have thought here, Murph.
Well, he's had a couple of advantages. The first is, again, there was a huge amount of caution. So those 48 laps are more like 38. And the other bit is that, he's had the benefit of being in that lead draft, which has been fairly stable and calm. They haven't been racing really all that hard. As you see, Ryan O'Donohue drop to the bottom and gain a spot on Vance Fisher, and he'll bring along the 98 of Sebastian Rodriguez. Rodriguez is several laps down. Keith Graham is going to drop his car onto the pit lane. So Ryan O'Donohue beginning to surge forward a little bit here in the late going. But I think that that's aided Blankenship in that the front pack has been rather calm. They wanted to just get ahead, right? They wanted to just get ahead here, and they have. There's some 18 seconds ahead of Colby Pierce, Mike Rigney, David Dunwoody, and Sam Crow. They're about to put a lap on Randy Dunlap. Riley Lean is standing by to go a lap down. And then, they've only got 8 more seconds up to Crash Neon. But here's my thought with that is, this group hasn't really been fighting all that hard. You know what I mean? And they've had some incidents, and they've had some incidents in the pack, and it's broken the pack apart. So it's made it easier for him to maintain that position, Caleb.
Yeah, and it looks like he's got a bit of lap traffic. He's on the outside. He's holding that with the third lane almost, as he's got the number 2 on the inside. That's Greg Evans, and then as well as Chad Meadows in that number 83. He's trying to get around them at the moment. But that lead group, he has caught up quite considerably to the front 2, where originally I think they were around almost 2 seconds in front. Now he's only about half a second behind, as in the background we see a car go to the apron.
Yeah, we're on board with Dylan Blankenship. He had a rather lurid moment in turns 1 and 2 earlier, as he gets to what has to be just about the end of his fuel rope, and they're all chasing that Rogue Energy winning moment. They're all chasing that Rogue Energy winning moment, Caleb, and it's getting time to talk turkey and hand out trophies. So, you're the time to save.
I hear spin.
I think that might
Randy Dunlap. That was Randy Dunlap.
Yeah.
Almost went around in front of our leaders.
Yeah, Randy Dunlap spins. He spins it to the inside of the pit lane, and we're going to get back and show what happened to Randy. He gets it on the pit road, and there he is. And you see the leaders in the background, and this has got to be, you're Peyton Howell. You're chugging along, and you've got the race in hand. You've got a small group around you, and then you see Randy Dunlap, and the back end just snapped on that car. And Peyton Howell's going, uh-oh, and that's the view off of Howell's nose as he flashes past. Randy Dunlap will get everything settled down and get it on the pit lane, but that could have been bad.
That's what we call a brown pants moment, Murph. Maybe not the most extreme case of it, but that definitely, especially when you're leading the race, you've led the majority of the race here tonight, and then you just have that little moment happen in front of you. It just kind of takes you by surprise. Thankfully, no harm, no foul, and Peyton Howell has now caught up to a lot of lap traffic here. He has Crash Neon and Kevin Grettenberger right in front of him.
Yes, he does. Kevin Grettenberger has been the focal point of a lot of the action this evening. Grettenberger runs 29th. He is 29 laps off the lead. He'll move high out of the way of the leaders, but they're approaching cars now. That's Christian Light and Crash Neon, and the leaders are going to try to split them up the middle. You've got the 26 mixed in there. That's Riley Lean. The 87 is involved. That's Alan Steigerwalt. Steigerwalt multiple laps down, but Riley Lean and Crash Neon want to fight this as much as they can. They have been involved at the front. Neon won the first stage, but it's all going to be for naught. The leaders navigate through them, and just to kind of keep tabs on the battle, on the battle between the Tortoise, which we're watching, or which we're not watching, and the Hare, which we are watching. The Hare right now, 22 seconds ahead of this group, which is saving fuel, we would expect. David Dunwoody, Mike Rigney, Sam Crow, Keith Graham, and Colby Pierce. But these guys are 23 seconds off the lead. They're within range, 8 seconds of going a lap down here, Caleb.
Yeah, and that's honestly the last thing you wanted to do. If you do go a lap down, and if that caution does stay out, we did think that the fuel save definitely was possible. However, if you get trapped to where you go a lap down and then the caution comes out, well, now all the leaders can pit. They could take fresh tires, and in order to get the wave around, you have to stay out.
Yeah,
and that's just going to trap you with worse tires on that restart.
Alan Steigerwalt just hit the wall coming off of turn number 4, and that causes a big lift from Dylan Blankenship, and Blankenship has moved now. He's over a second behind the leaders. He was right with this group, and I am surprised at how long Dylan Blankenship has elected to stay on the Speedway. He is 60 laps into his current run. Everybody else out there is on 42 or 43 laps for their current run. We think that the outer edge of the fuel window is 65 laps. There is clearly a group led by David Dunwoody right now, that is Dunwoody, Rigney, Crow, and Pierce, that are trying to turn this into an economy run, and they're hoping they've got Harry Gant's fuel line somewhere in there, because those cars are trying to make it 70 laps. Ryan O'Donohue goes past Dylan Blankenship, and we've got trouble!
The yellow flag
Oh,
is out.
no!
Yellow flag is...
And Dylan Blankenship is in it.
Yellow flag is out. Dylan Blankenship is involved. There he is. It's the 83 of Chad Meadows. We see the 88, the forward-facing 88 of James Hodgson also get a piece of that. And the 87 car of Alan Steigerwalt. And let's get back just a little bit. It's all going to start with the 83 of Chad Meadows. He wiggles, he gets loose. He's going to come down, tag the 26 and the 87. He hits the 26 square. Steigerwalt doesn't have a chance. Blankenship gets hit in the door by a sliding Meadows. There's James Hodgson hard in the wall. Say Hey Lewis Hayes will thread the needle, as does Randy Dunlap. And caution is on the Speedway, and that was a tough hit for Dylan Blankenship. Get in the car with Dylan Blankenship, ride shotgun and see what he sees. And just, again, it all happens so fast. There's not really much you can do here, Caleb. Just try to thread the needle.
No. Yeah, he just tried to thread the needle, and then not only that, once he touches that outside wall, he takes a massive hit from behind, and that's really the more damaging factor is the fact that he got hit from behind, and that kind of is why that's where the majority of that damage is going to come from. The wall tap did seem to be absolutely awful, but that hit from behind is really what is going to set him back here.
Now, he does not have the meatball. The forward-facing 88 of James Hodgson does. And so Blankenship may be able to get this thing fixed, at least well enough to get back out there. Everybody else has come to the pit lane as we're under the yellow light here. 26 laps to go. It is the admin box caution. If you're a race controller, league admin, you run hosted sessions, go over to www.adminbox.com. That is race control at the touch of a button. One of the cool things that Fish will do for you over there at Admin Box is, we all have different rigs, we all have different stuff that we use. Caleb, your rig is not like mine, and mine is not like Peyton Howell's. Whose is not like James Hodgson's, right? We all have different stuff. If you've got a whatever rig you've got, Fish will make something to mount your admin box to it. He's very, very, very good at helping you out with solutions like that. So mine kind of sits almost where the radio would be in your street car. In my next level rig. So don't let that stop you. That's adminbox.com.
I bet he can probably find a way to mount it to my nightlight here, Murphy. So,
he probably could. I've seen people that have them mounted to the tops of their steering wheel, like the Moza dashes and stuff. I've seen that.
Yeah, like how a lot of real life cars, like the Spec Fords, will have it. Like the AIM systems, they'll have it mounted. Like they'll have like a button box or a screen mounted on top of their wheel. But I guess enough of that. Enough of real life stuff. We got to get back to Atlanta here, Murph, as we're about to go green for about 24 laps here.
Yep. Green flag.
Barney's got that green flag in his air. Peyton Howell, as he has done for pretty much every restart, gets the jump on the field and heads toward turn number 1 with the lead. And how about the rally from Say Hey Lewis Hayes on the top? He's going to challenge John Hutchins for the 4th spot. Doesn't quite get there, but Say Hey Lewis Hayes is giving that 40 Racewear car a ride for DBD Motorsports. He's up in the 5th spot as Peyton Howell leads him away.
Yeah, and we see that bottom line, as we've seen for the majority of the night on these restarts, kind of prevail over that top line. Everybody from the top line immediately going to the bottom. But I wonder how long that will last, Mark. When do these drivers make that move where they say, I want to go get the lead? They're all on fresh tires. They know they could probably go full push from here. So when do they make that move where they want to get up to the front, and when do they make that move to stay at the front?
I think you've got to start now. So Daytona, Talladega, you can wait till 5, 10 to go, 10 laps to go, 5 laps to go to really start pushing and shoving. Here, you almost have to start now, just because, one, the track is a lot more narrow, but also the laps are a lot quicker. So, we're 15 seconds a lap quicker here than we would be at Daytona, Talladega. It's physically not as much time to get a move done. And the track isn't as wide. I don't think handling is going to play an issue here, Caleb. The tires are, they've all put on sticker tires. They've all, they're on light fuel. The most that they're going to need is maybe a little bit more than half a tank. So I don't anticipate that tires are going to be an issue. The weather is now, it's cooled 4 degrees from the outset. The lights are on. There you see the conditions. They're ideal. I think you've got to start going now.
That is an absolutely great point. But we still see the pack in a single file, except for, I believe, as he goes immediately to the bottom right with Sebastian Rodriguez was kind of holding that outside line here. Now it's kind of single line on the bottom. We will start to see that outside line start prevailing. We still got about 30 laps to go. Excuse me.
Well, and I'm going to point out something to you. There are still drivers that are playing this coy, and that those drivers are led by Sam Crow. Sam has dropped a second and a half away from this lead group, and that's because Sam is a wily veteran. He's looking out the front of that number 8, and he's saying, all right, y'all go ahead. He's betting there's going to be another caution, and he's going to be able to pick up. He's going to be able to move toward the front of that pack and be involved in the final shootout. Sam Crow, very, very, very experienced. And there you see the Black Acid Chevrolet moves along in what is now the 11th spot. Blankenship goes by him, as does Vance Fisher, as does Crash Neon. In the wall.
Yeah, we got a couple of cars spin towards the apron. That's the number 98 and the number 16 on the apron. Sebastian Rodriguez, and we're going to get a caution here.
Yeah, we are. It's the 98 of Sebastian Rodriguez and the 16 of Zechariah Cartledge. Rodriguez, 13 laps off the pace, but that's not him. The 16 of Zechariah Cartledge gets loose, comes down and grabs contact with Sebastian Rodriguez, and they both make hard contact. Cartledge with the inside wall, then with each other, and they are close enough.
Oh. There was a bit of a chain effect after the wreck involving Troy Carricker, to where he got massively bumped from behind, and I think that might be night done for Troy Carricker.
Yeah, let's see what happened to Troy Carricker. Keith Graham hard into the back of Carricker, and Carricker hits hard on the inside wall, and then he's going to get hit again by the 83 of Chad Meadows. And you're right, there's no meatball, but that 94 has to be severely damaged. He's already on pit lane, under repair. The fans at home might be asking, I've just tuned this in. There's 16 laps to go. We're under caution at a track that chews up tires. Why is nobody on pit lane? Well, they don't have any tires left. Here in iRacing, you can set the rules and you can limit the number of tires that drivers have available. 54 of Michael Kirk is going to get himself back on the lead lap via the lucky dog there. But Caleb, they're limited. They only got 3 sets of tires in the pit lane. They made a stop at stage 1. They made a stop at stage 2. They made a stop 10 laps ago. Most of these drivers are out of tires.
Yeah, and that all boils down to what's, like, honestly, the strategy at the beginning of stage number 3 of what drivers wanted to do. The drivers that were full push early on were able to come down and take tires because, honestly, they were still on the lead lap. We saw quite a bit of the drivers that were fuel saving at the beginning of that stage number 3, and they broke away from that first group and they made a second group, and then you have the incident that kind of separated that second group. A lot of that second group that were fuel saving went a lap down right before that caution came out. So they, in order to stay on the lead lap, they had to stay out and not take tires. That way they could get the wave around. However, with this caution, they are now able to take that final set of tires, and I guarantee you we will probably see some absolute flyers go through the field here.
You know we will. Cars that stopped on the lead lap: Colby Pierce, Sam Crow, Andrew Jones, Dylan Blankenship, Chad Meadows, Crash Neon, Zechariah Cartledge, all on the lead lap. They all stopped. We don't know if they have tires. Now, before we get back to green, I will say that as a veteran of the AMA and as a veteran of these tire limit races, sometimes the KG veteran will say, look, I'm not interested in winning stage 1 or stage 2 or even running up front. Sometimes you'll catch a driver who will not take tires in their during one of the stage breaks. Usually it's the first stage. I was known for doing that a time or two, where you knew there was going to be a caution late and you wanted to have a set on the wall when nobody else had one. And so there very well may be drivers, and I'm looking at Sam Crow's name in 10th, there may very well be drivers who saved a set of tires for this specific circumstance.
Yeah, 14 laps to go. That's around a mile and a half. That seems to be the prime time to save a set of tires and just go full bore here. Pace car rounding turn 4 as we see the pace car go in. And the field in the back, honestly, it looks like they're still getting shuffled in, but it looks like we're still going to go green here as the green flag drops. And Peyton Howell is going to lead this field away, gets a great jump on the rest of the field.
Yes, he does. Peyton Howell leads away one more time on a restart. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. Caleb, somehow we've beaten the audience from Daytona with this one. And so thank you so much to all of the fans that are watching the last 14 laps with us here from the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video. If you haven't already, ring the bell, subscribe to P1, because we do this every night and every week right here on P1. It is Peyton Howell leading Bladen Edwards, but look who has come toward the front now. It's time to hand out the trophy. Ryan O'Donohue has showed up. John Hutchins, who is a series veteran and a pretty doggone good plate racer, he is 4th. And David Dunwoody, who is known as one of the better restrictor plate racers in the series, he is 5th after getting his car completely rebuilt in the pit lane, Caleb. And they've got Say Lewis Hayes in 6th spot or 7th, depending on how they score it. Right behind him, Mike Rigney. The veterans are coming to the front. There's Sam Crow on the top. He's coming too.
Yeah, we see Sam Crow on that outside. He saved that last set of tires, and now he's absolutely flying through the field here. And you see a lot of the veteran drivers of this AMA series who haven't really been prevalent through the first portion of this race. Now we start seeing their colors. We see them start progressing up towards the field because it is now go time here, Murph, with 10 to go.
It most certainly is. Sam Crow occupies the high side. John Hutchins can't decide whether he wants to follow Ryan O'Donohue or jump up in front of Sam Crow. And Sam Crow has Greg Evans behind him now. Evans is 3 laps down, but he is absolutely wearing out the bumper of Sam Crow, trying to get his teammate to the front, and they've got help from Dylan Blankenship, who led this race for quite a while. But there's there's a lot of trust between Sam Crow and Greg Evans. Those guys have been sim racing together since before iRacing existed, and they've now had teammate Ryan O'Donoghue jump in front of them. So you got 3 team cars lined up on the top as they try to push O'Donoghue to the front.
Yeah, we'll see if this team game works. They're still about 2 car lengths back from the guy who has basically dominated this entire race, Peyton Howe, leading that inside line. He's been glued to that red line the entirety of this race, but it looks like that outside line is just gaining just ever so slightly on the bottom. We really haven't seen the outside line be much of a factor over the course of this race besides the very first stage and we got a caution here, Murph.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. It is Sergio Abella. And there you see it. His car is stopped at the entrance to turn number 3.
Looks like he got into it with Michael Kirk in number 54 there.
Yeah, here they are. They're door banging coming off of turn number 2. And Michael Kirk came up. He wasn't quite clear. Chad Meadows involved again. Another hard lick for the 83 car. There he is. The teddy bear Ted Craven gets involved, and Michael Kirk. He's that cookout machine has seen its fair share of hits this evening, and there's another one for Michael Kirk. Sergio Abella's car is absolutely demolished.
Yes, it is, and that's just going to make this race just ever so more exciting here, Murph.
You know, it does. It does several things. There's Abella, and he hits awfully hard in that Blackmagic Studios number 21 machine. I mean, he clobbered that inside wall, and he's trying to drag it around and save the points. I think he knows that baby is toast. But this does several things. The first is that it's going to break up the teammate show at the front because Greg Evans is going to have to cycle to the back. The way the caution flew, Ryan O'Donoghue is 3rd and Sam Crow is 5th. So they're still going to be together, but they're going to be behind Peyton Howe, who has been the leader for the balance of this event. And he's riding around under the admin box caution one more time. Oi, what do you do to get by him?
Well, we've seen the outside move work. We have seen it. We saw Crash Neon do it at the end of stage number 1 with 2 to go. And we even saw Edwards right before that caution that ended stage number 2 get that stage win on the outside. The outside does work here, even though Peyton Howe has been glued to that white line, the red line, I guess I should say. He's been glued to that red line the entirety of that race. But he has shown that there have been some cracks to where he can get past on the outside, and we saw that with Crash Neon. We saw that with Edwards and I think the outside can work. It's just a matter of when do you time it to get around the guy who's basically been dominating this entire race.
Yeah, I don't know. Caution lights are out. We're going to have a 5-lap shootout to decide it. We do have green-white checkers. Caleb, can you check and verify and see exactly how many? The rules have changed, and I can't remember if it's 1, 3, or unlimited for this series because it's changed a couple of times over the years, and I just can't remember. But we do have green-white checkers available if needed. We're going to have at least one 5-lap run to decide it here at Atlanta. Peyton Howe, Bladen Edwards are going to be on row 1. Ryan O'Donoghue, John Hutchins. Row 2, Sam Crow, Vance Fisher are going to be row number 3. Colby Pierce and Dylan Blankenship on row number 4. Say Hey Lewis Hayes and Andrew Jones round out your top 10. Then it's Mike Rigney and David Dunwoody. Crash Neon, Chad Meadows, and Zechariah Cartledge the remainder of your lead lap. Meadows spent significant time, as did Crash Neon, on the pit lane under that last yellow light to effect over a minute of repair apiece. But we're gonna see something pretty cool here, Caleb. I've got a feeling for certain sure.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a 5-lap shootout here, Murph.
Chad Meadows is going to drop his
Green
car
flag,
to the
green
bottom.
flag.
He is wounded, and he does not want to affect the outcome here. Peyton Howell leads them away one more time, and we're going to see if anybody can do anything with him. And he has a ton of help one more time from Bladen Edwards. Ryan O'Donohue and Sam Crow need to get lined up and start making their charge toward the front now if they're going to have any chance at making that pass.
Yeah, and we see Peyton Howe. He's been so good on these restarts. He's been able to get a massive jump over the field. And I feel like that's going to be the main difference here at the end of this race. He's able to pull away like 4 to 5 car lengths on every single restart. That may play a factor on whether or not he's able to prevail over the rest of the field. But we see Ryan O'Donohue, we see Sam Crow edging ever so slightly closer. When do they make the move? It's going to be close here, Murph.
I mean, they're going to get one real big run right here, and they're going to have to take it. But I think to take it, Ryan O'Donohue is going to have to leave his teammate. He checks up and does not take that run. John Hutchins and Vance Fisher, they're on the top. They got help from, say, hey, Lewis Hayes and David Dunwoody. We've got 4 laps to go here at Atlanta. Make that 3.
Yeah, 3 laps to go. We see that outside line kind of get formed together. Will we see a 3 wide? We may very well may so. As we see Ryan O'Donohue, he's trying to get around the 2 cars in front. You see him just peeking on the outside there, but he doesn't have the room to do it because of that outside line.
Vance Fisher jumps up. He thinks about making it 3 wide with 3 miles to go at Atlanta. He thinks better of it. Drops back in, and now we got a big wreck.
Caution,
Big mess. Say hey, Lewis Hayes is hard in the wall. David Dunwoody is backwards along the turn 1 fence, and we are under caution, and that is going to mean a green-white checker here at Atlanta. At least one. Here's where it starts. Say Lewis Hayes is 3 wide in the middle. He's got Blankenship to the bottom and Vance Fisher to the top. Fisher comes down into Say Lewis Hayes, and there is the 46 of Andrew Jones. And from there, the wreck is on. They collect Mike Rigney and Colby Pierce as they go. Poor Lewis Hayes just cannot buy a break. It doesn't seem to matter the series. It doesn't seem to matter the car. It doesn't seem to matter anything. Lewis Hayes has been snake bit, and it bites him here one more time. We're going to ride on the roof for Lewis Hayes in that DVD Motorsports machine, and just Vance Fisher's there, Hayes is there, Fisher turns in, comes all the way down, and Lewis Hayes nowhere to go but into the right front of but in the right front of the 46 of Andrew Jones, and there's your caution with 3 laps to go. So green-white checker is going to be on tap once we get this sorted out, Caleb.
Yeah, and that's not going to help Ryan O'Donohue or Sam Crew. They're going to be lined up 3rd and 4th, inside and outside. They're going to have to immediately link up together if they want to get around the front 2 of Edwards and Peyton Howe here. And another thing that I brought up right after Howe on the last restart, he's been getting really, really good jumps on every single restart. If the rest of the field wants to get around them, they have to get really good jump on the restart. They can't just wait back, because really you don't have time to catch up in 2 laps, Murph.
You know you don't. You can lag back a little bit, and you're going to get one big run. I suspect, though, that if the run comes from Ryan O'Donohue, it's immediately going to be blocked by Bladen Edwards And so they're going to have to find a way to separate the 52 and the 27. It's Peyton Howell and Bladen Edwards. O'Donoghue and Crow are going to be next to each other on this restart. John Hutchins will line up behind Ryan O'Donoghue, and Dylan Blankenship will be third on that top line. Then Vance Fisher and Andrew Jones, Crash Neon, Zechariah Cartledge will round out your top 10. Colby Pierce is back in 11th. He got a piece of that accident, missing the hood on that machine. David Dunwoody, likewise, rolling wounded in the number 28. Ted Craven is 13th. He has maintained his position on the lead lap despite multiple instances of contact. And Mike Rigney is on the pit lane. Now leaving pit lane, he is 14th. Christian Light is 15th. Sehe Lewis Hayes has retired. Troy Carricker, 2 laps down after a big accident that brought out the last caution. He wasn't the cause of the caution, but he certainly got the worst of it after being hit by not one but 2 cars from behind after the yellow light came on. Chad Meadows has also been involved in several accidents and incidents in that 83. It is wrinkled, it's bent, it's bruised, it's battered, but it is not beaten. He continues to roll along 2 laps down. Riley Lean, competitive earlier in the 26th. He led some laps. He is 19th. And Greg Evans, 3 laps down after being involved in an incident. The defending series champion is going to finish no better than 20th here today. And that is big news. Randy Dunlap in the Outland Custom Arms machine is 21st. Keith Graham in the 09 22nd. Sergio Abella is on the pit lane with the meatball. He'll be he scored 23rd. Michael Kirk 24th. James Hodgson 25th. They are all on pit lanes. Rodriguez, Gettenberger, Steigerwalt, Kendall Paul, Joshua Siegfried, Brian Sharp, Eric Corder, Julian Valadez, Justin Osterman, Sean Mott, Corey Palermo, Andrew Gates, Raymond White, Carson Hodge, and Jason Southard are all retired from this event. And thank you so much one more time to Shelby Carricker. Do always appreciate Shelby with the super chats in the cheer on husband Troy. We are getting ready to get down to showtime. It's a green-white checker, Caleb. Anything can happen, and it probably will. The green flag is out.
Yeah, and just like we've seen with every single other restart, Peyton Howell gets a really good jump on the rest of the field. However, that allows the third-place car, Ryan O'Donoghue, to be on the inside. He's going to slide into second here, and it looks like Peyton Howell slides up just a little bit, trying to get that draft to the Edwards on the outside. They make contact as he goes to the apron.
What a save from Ryan O'Donoghue. He was able to save that race car. It was gone. Ryan O'Donoghue brings it back on the apron, and he is going to get a huge run with help from Vance Fisher. As we come to get the white flag, they are going to cross the line. The next flag is going to end the race.
Peyton Howell leads this field as they go through turns 1 and 2. Edwards right behind. Ryan O'Donoghue and Vance Fisher on the line on the bottom line. And we got a spin. 27 goes around. And the rest of the field goes around. That's going to lead Peyton Howell all by himself. And John Hutchins right behind him.
Big mess behind the leaders. Peyton Howell is going to cruise home. He is going to take the checkered flag and win the race. John Hutchins is going to come across the line second. Sam Crow third. Colby Pierce is going to come home fourth, and the teddy bear Ted Craven is fifth. And boy, do we have some fun to talk about from that last lap. Ryan O'Donoghue, and he's pushing and shoving and doing everything he can to try to get through there. There's no more lift. The 27 gets spun around. Hard into the wall goes Vance Fisher. Crash Neon comes off the corner and hits hard, as does Greg Evans. The 16 of Zachariah Cartledge gets involved. And let's see the accident from their perspective. At this point, there's nowhere to go. Crash Neon came up to avoid the accident and actually hit, I believe, John Hutchins, rather. Greg Evans took the biggest hit of all, I believe. Let's have a look at him. Watch this hit, and he just again nowhere to go. He gets the hard impact to the top with Blankenship, and then the perfect 90-degree angle into the outside wall, and that means that Peyton Howell is going to get to burn him down here at Atlanta. This is your Rogue Energy winning moment. If you go to rogueenergy.com and use promo code AMA24, you get 10% off of your order. rogueenergy.com, use promo code AMA24 to get 10% off your order. It is Peyton Howell with the Rogue Energy winning moment. It is Peyton Howell as your winner. John Hutchins second. Sam Crow will round out the podium. Colby Pierce is fourth. Ted Craven, great run for Colby. Ted Craven comes home fifth. Mike Rigney outlasts the Rex. He'll bring home the Sing Gaming Expo Chevrolet in sixth. Andrew Jones is seventh. Ryan O'Donohue credited with eighth. Zechariah Cartledge is ninth, and David Dunwoody will bring it in 10th. 11th, it's Bladen Edwards. He was second, less than a mile from the checkered flag. Dylan Blankenship led some laps. He finishes 12th. Crashing on, won a stage. He is 13th. Vance Fisher 14th. Final car on the lead lap. Christian Light, the only car, one lap down. Then Troy Carricker leads Riley Lean and Chad Meadows home. 2 laps down. Randy Dunlap and Greg Evans are going to finish 19th and 20th. 3 laps in arrears. These cars all out of the race. Say hey, Lewis Hayes, Keith Graham, Sergio Abella, Michael Kirk, and James Hodgson through 25th, and then Sebastian Rodriguez, Kevin Grettenberger, Alan Steigerwalt, Kendall Paul, and Joshua Siegfried 26th through 30th. In 31st, it is Brian Sharp, followed by Eric Corder, Julian Valadez, Justin Osterman, Sean Mott, Corey Palermo, Andrew Gates, Raymond White, Carson Hodge, and Jason Southard is 40th. Shotgun on the field, did not take the start with connection issues. It's Barry Seaman in the number 55, and that is your Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series Peachtree 250 results from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's see if we can't find a driver or two. I'm even going to get to talk to my old booth mate tonight. How about that? How about that, Caleb?
Yeah, it always feels good when you get to talk to your booth mate. It's happened. I guess if you want to technically count the few open races where I've gotten a podium, but yeah, we'll get to talk to your old booth mate, and we'll see how his race went.
Yeah, let's talk to him. Sam Crow, you've got Murph, and you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy, buddy?
I sure do, guys. I sure do. I try to catch my breath.
I tell you what, that Black Acid Racing Apparel SimWorks machine has got a dent or two in it. But you bring her home, you bring it home on the podium. Talk us through the series of final restarts, kind of what your plan was, and what you thought you might have done different.
Well, this just really just kind of, this is one of those instances where it just falls into your lap. I mean, honestly, I still had, at one point after the incident that I got caught in, I had over 13 minutes of optional damage. And so through the race and making periodic pit stops, I still had 7 minutes of damage to repair on the car. But I pitted on lap 68 and got fresh tires, and then I rode those tires out for 80 laps and just rode in the back. But then with 15 laps to go and I was still on the lead lap, I still had 2 sets of tires. And so when I put the tires on there, fixed a little bit more damage, that was enough to keep me with the cars that had older tires. And so it just allowed me, the motor was still strong enough. The handling was gone, but it was enough fresh tires, and the motor was enough to keep me attached to those leaders. And then all the misfortune misfortune that happened to my teammates with Lewis Hayes and then Ryan there at the end. And honestly, it is just an honor to be able to finish in the top 3, and I'm still a bundle of nerves from it.
Well, at least you're not nervous being in the booth, my man. You're on familiar turf here. Caleb, what do you have for Sam Crow this evening?
So we went to 2 plate tracks. We start off with Daytona, the big one. Then we go to Atlanta. But next time we got a bit of a road course. So I guess what you come off 2 plate tracks, you get 2 strong results after pretty, chaos. And then we go to a road course. What was the biggest change, going into that next race and with all the momentum of getting 2 back-to-back top 10s?
Well, it's just really nice for me, considering my track record at Supers, to be able to get some great finishes, especially in a field of competitors that's here in the AMA. And so I'm extremely grateful that I was able to receive uh, the opportunity to finish well in the last 2 plate tracks. And when we get to road courses, I love to race road courses, but that does not mean that I am the most prolific road course racer. And so I don't mind road courses, and I'll be in a little bit more of a comfort zone. I've done enough of it that I enjoy it. It's not something that I have high expectations. It's just something that I literally just have a great time doing. So my mindset changes. I'm a little bit more calm. The intensity for me is lessened a lot. But transitioning from speedways into a road course actually is a breath of fresh air for me. Even if I have a bad day at a road course, I'm still going to be in a better mindset than white knuckling the steering wheel here at these plate tracks. And so, especially watching cars careen in front of me coming out of turn 2, and I feel like Cold Trickle driving through the smoke, and it's just it's insane.
Well, it seems like you might have hit everything but the pace car tonight, and so we had I tell you what, we had quite a bit of we had quite a bit of calamity tonight, but it's good to see you, Sam. It's good to have you in the booth.
Oh, Mark, it's always a privilege to be with you, man.
I tell you what, this is the first time that I get to say this to you. So you had the opportunity to do it to me last night, and you didn't.
Well, I was under instructions with Jeremy. Jeremy said, "I'll do the first and third place cars, and you do the second place." So I really didn't have an opportunity.
What did you think about that race last night? You and I are still proving, I think, that we can still drive a little bit. Hey, don't bury Murph and Sam just yet, right?
Mark, it was awesome to see you running up front and doing what you do best in Indy cars. It is truly your calling to be in those cars, and you're so cerebral in how you approach the race. But yet you have that aggression, that safe aggression, where you make safe moves, calculated moves, and it's just always good to see you running in the Indy cars. And I was. At the last minute, Mike Rigney had asked me if I'd jump in the booth last night, and Jeremy was great, and Zach was great, but I enjoyed being in the booth with those guys and calling the Indy race. It was really good.
I'll tell you what, I enjoy calling your races too. Friends, family, sponsors. Shout out, Sam. You get the mic, my man.
Oh, let's do this. Then I would like to say thank you to Black Acid Racing Apparel. If you get a chance, look them up on the internet. They're great. For whatever your racing apparel needs are, Black Acid is a great group. It is a business owned by racers for racers, and so they do a great job. Black Acid Racing Apparel. And then I also want to say thank you to my DVD teammates, even though I was in the back. They were encouraging me. Ryan O'Donoghue, Lewis Hayes. They were constantly staying in communication with me, and they were encouraging me. And I really hate that they had a terrible night. Greg Evans had an equipment failure, and that kind of ruined his night as well. And Mike Rigney was there, and he was equally just communicating, talking. I rode with him for a while. So thank you to my DVD teammates. And also, I just want to thank you so much for P1 Broadcasting. I have a great affinity for you guys, simply for the time that I had to work with you last year. And Caleb, you're in good hands with Mark, and I've been listening to the broadcast, and you're doing a fantastic job. Keep up the great work. My heart and my all my admiration goes out to you guys. Thank you to the AMA too for just putting on a fantastically run league.
We sure do appreciate having you, Sam. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much, Mark. Caleb.
That is Sam Crow. He is your third place finisher tonight. For second, we get to talk to somebody that I've long raced with, but haven't had a chance to have him in the booth very often. John Hutchins, you've got Murph, and you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 Broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Murph, Caleb. Yeah, got a copy, man. Thank y'all for having me. It's good to be here.
What'd you see on that last lap, my man?
Just everybody trying to go forward. That's what I seen. So, I know it's rough. It's tight. Been a long race, but we're just happy to make it through some of the carnage, and keeping the fenders on was definitely key to tonight's race.
Well, I tell you what, I'm looking at that 72 right now, and I don't see a lot of bruises on the thing. Sam's car looked like it had just been through a Cole Trickle Rowdy Burns fight at Bristol. Yours looks pretty good. So you must have kept it clean enough. Caleb, what do you have for John this evening?
Well, you started not quite shotgun on the field, but you did start 38th, and you ended up finishing second. I just got to ask, there was quite a bit of incidents here tonight, but was there really any strategy, or did you just kind of just play it safe until, the last 20 or 30 laps or so?
Man, just trying to play it safe. I mean, these races, sometimes going to the back plays out, sometimes it doesn't. It's just a roll of the dice. We made it through a couple of wrecks and come out without any incidences and no damage. And we're just biding times. We got to the end and found ourselves toward the front, and it's time to go. And I want to thank my team, my Interstellar teammates. We do everything as a team. And I hate that they didn't get to finish tonight, but we'll be back next week, ready to roll.
Absolutely, John. Well, thank you so much for joining us in the booth.
Thank you, guys.
You get the
Thank y'all for what you do, man. Y'all do a great job.
Hey, we appreciate it, and the public appreciates you guys too. Nearly 3,600 people have already watched us, already watched some of this race. So it's a huge audience.
It blows me away.
Yeah, it's a huge audience, and so we want to thank the fans at home, and because we've got that big audience, my man, you get on the podium at P1, you get the mic, shout them out, friends, family, sponsors. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank my church family. The Place Worship Center. They always support everything I do, and just want to thank my wife and my children. They tune in and watch. So just want to thank everybody, and I want to thank Kendall. Kendall and James and Mike, just for being good teammates, man. And that's what it's all about: getting on here and have a good time and building friendships and relationships. And I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, congratulations on your run. Kendale just sent me a text. Kendale's just sent me a text and said, you are the new points leader. And so I've been around the AMA a while, and I don't know that you've ever led the points. So congratulations on that distinction. Keep going fast and having fun, John. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. That is John Hutchins. He is your second place finisher tonight at Atlanta. And for the winner, we're going to go ahead and bring in Peyton Howell. Peyton, you've got Murph and you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 Broadcasting booth. You hear us?
Yes, sir.
So that was wild. You seem to have had a loyal follower there in Bladen. He and Ryan O'Donohue got together, left you alone at the end. How nerve-wracking is it to have restart after restart after restart and knowing that those guys are going to get a huge run at you coming off? You're going to get run after run after run at you. How unnerving and nerve-wracking is that?
Well, it was just all about getting Bladen down on the restarts. And if we get linked up, I truly didn't think that anybody could pass us on the top. because we always work well together at super speedways, and so it was a little nerve wracking there at the end when we kept having caution after caution, but yeah, we just had to make sure that nobody got to our inside. And with how the rule is, you can't run below the red line, so you float up down the straightaway. And so we were just trying to protect the bottom. And it sucks that happened to him off of 2 on the white. I wish that we could have raced it out to the line. I mean, we controlled the whole thing, and it nothing to show for it for him.
Caleb?
I guess my question's slightly simpler. Was there anything stopping you tonight? Because it seemed like you were just at the front of the race the entire time.
I think the only thing that's stopping me is me getting wrecked. I knew going in that I just wanted to control and just have our teammates. Julian got taken out early, so we only had 2 at the end, or well, for the final 150 laps or so, and it was just all about trying to control and just making sure that we stayed up front. And I really didn't think that anybody could stop us if we kept the bottom line the whole time.
Well, you kept the bottom line long enough. You pretty much led the race flag to flag. I don't recall anybody heading you for any specific period of time. So it's a wire to wire win. It got wild, but you brought her home, Peyton. You've got the Rogue Energy winning moment. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'd like to thank first Bladen for all the pushing he did. He didn't have to do that. He could have left me come into the white and left me out, and he'd have won the race. But I got to thank him for all the pushing, the paint scheme as well. All 3 of our UNRV Esports paints looked really good. I got to thank Icon Apparel, Unrivaled Innovations, Nerditudes, Victory Fuel, Race Stop Suicide, Celsius, y'all for putting on the broadcast, everybody for watching as well. Got to thank everybody at the UNRV Esports guys. There's guys that race tomorrow night that won't be here tonight, but for just making all this work and us getting the victory lane.
Absolutely, Peyton. Well, thank you so much for stopping in. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy, and we will see you at the next one.
Yes, sir.
That is Peyton Howell. He is your winner this evening. And Caleb, 2 races in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Greg Evans wins the first one. Peyton Howell brings home the second. We're going to a road course, though, for next week, and so are we going to make it 3 for 3?
I think we will. You know, that's where we really see the talent of like certain drivers come out. You know, there are some road course ringers, and not only in sim racing but in real life. You got like SVG and AJ Allmendinger, like in the real life Cup Series that really shine on the road courses. I'm sure we'll see it here as well, especially considering that the first 2 races are completely different from the rest of the season here. 2 play tracks immediately back to back, and then we started up again with a road course, and not a road course that's not particularly easy. I would say, Murph. I would say it's one of the more trickier ones in these NASCAR O'Reilly stock cars.
You know it is, and I have the advantage of having seen the races last year, and so I'm looking at names like Troy Carricker, who was really strong in the road races last year. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. A guy that has a lot of open wheel experience, and so they go to a lot of road courses. Say, hey, Lewis Hayes figures to be strong. Greg Evans is a really good road course racer. But I'm with you. I think that we're likely going to see a new winner next week in Texas at Circuit of the Americas. Speaking of next week, we do have a full slate starting tomorrow with the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. That's going to be at 8:20 for the pre-race, 8:35 race start. Caleb's going to be back with me. It'll be a rotating cast in the second chair for that series, but Caleb is going to be back tomorrow, Sunday night, 8 o'clock, the Vote of India Oval Series, live from Michigan, 8 o'clock, right here on P1. Monday night, it's a doubleheader. We're going to start that off with the IndyCar Series Monday Night Top Split. That is at Sebring, 7 o'clock, followed at 9 by the Indy Next Road Series from Mexico City. Tuesday, it's a triple header. The IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday Night Top Split happens at 7:15. The Indy Next Oval Series from Richmond will go at 8:30. And the nightcap, it's the Area 51 IndyCar Series from Nashville at 9:30. Another doubleheader will happen on Wednesday. It's the Formula Super Series from Motegi. 8:20 is the start on that one. The other half of that doubleheader, the Horizon IndyCar Series, they will also be at Motegi, so you got your choice. Caleb, you can watch IndyCars on the Oval at Motegi, or you can watch IndyCars on the Oval at Motegi. The Horizon IndyCar Series will go at 8. Next week, we are going to be right back here for the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Live from Circuit of the Americas. 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 race start. Same time, as always, same bad channel right here on P1. We want to thank all of the competitors for all that they do. This was a great race to watch. I want to thank all of the fans for tuning in. Another big crowd here to support them. But we want to thank the people that really make it possible. The police, the firemen, the military, the EMTs driving the ambulance, and the nurse that unloads you when they get you there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all. Peyton Howell is your winner tonight from Atlanta, and we will see you tomorrow.